Rhett wasn't prepared as usual.
I know. What a dickhead.
Honestly, I've had my computer hooked up to my new TV for like 3 weeks, so I'm just on the couch in the living room, just lounging.
Nice.
Feels pretty good. No longer hosting L Rock. God, this is this slight.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody hosted me. I don't know.
That was me.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I got a notification. I was like, wait, fuck, what happened?
There we go. I've got the chat up.
Yeah, I just popped the chat out. Close the stream. We're good. Don't worry, everybody. Rhett said he had to go take a big old poop. He said
those words, actually.
Yeah, he said he's had just like explosive diarrhea all day.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He said he woke up and he didn't have morning wood. He had morning poop. Just all over the place. Just nasty.
Worse is when he got both.
Yeah, I know. A boner and then having to poop.
It's a pretty bad combination, I can agree.
Yeah. Multitasking.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's not a form of multitasking. That's a form of, like, anti-multitasking.
I don't know. Do you think you could handle both at once?
I mean, I've tried. No.
I've tried.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some ice in my drink, too.
Okay. People, never ready. I'm the only goddamn professional here. You see what I have to deal with?
I'm here.
You were out taking a shit.
Well, that was a very quick shit then.
Thank you for the sub, Tingu Generous. That's 7 months in a row. Look at that guy.
Oh shit, I bet I have one.
What a baller. What a baller.
Do you guys know that 7 comes after 5?
It actually does!
OMG.
Funny jokes. Funny jokes!
Starting off strong tonight, guys.
Yeah. This is your next 3 hours. What do you think of that? What do you think of that cover art, man? That's sick as fuck.
Some pretty sweet cover art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, provided again by Sayara, who does all of our cover arts. And this one is obviously based on the cut-ins from Burst Attacks and Trails Cold Steel.
Really? I was like, oh, Persona art, nice.
You kind of get that because it's like all of the red and the black.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, oh, obviously.
Yeah. It's funny.
I like that Sayara, like everybody else is wearing the uniform, and Sayara was like, and then I saw the chick and she had cleavage, so I just made that red.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm intent. I like sitting on a couch and podcasting. It's
good. We did do a Persona art once, didn't we?
You know, I don't think I've actually sat on a couch for a couple of years now, to be completely honest.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I didn't have a couch for a year after we moved here, so I am very happy to have one now. I'm just like,
it's just a piece of furniture that I don't use when I'm upstairs in a computer chair.
Yeah, like I'm either in really, really, really comfortable office chairs, mostly all day, or like I have a couch downstairs when I'm just like chilling down there.
I mean, I've been like for like 3 years, like, who uses TVs? Like, I just want to be on my computer or playing my portable on my phone or my DS. And now I'm like, televisions. Oh, I can play big games on my big TV and it's all big in front of me. This is great. Who knew?
I tell you, I'm really super happy I got a Steam Link. Man, that thing's rad.
God, I wish I'd grabbed one of those when it was $3.
Polly, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, seriously, when I can, I throw like output from my PC over to the TV with the Steam Link, and it's solid, no lag or anything.
Nice.
Because like that's one of those things where it can be great, but if it doesn't work, then it's just fucking useless.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever had it like I've had it since December of last year, and I've only had to reset it once. So
cool.
I think it's a real good piece of hardware.
All is well.
Yeah. Just gonna take a couple of more minutes, let people get in. We're just bullshitting around. but we'll be with you in another couple minutes or so.
Tiddlywinking
Oh no,
around.
Tengu, don't start this shit. Can
God damn it, I'm
After
trying to eat.
What?
Can After5 do some math? It's in my chat. Tengu.
All right. It's time to whip out the good old Windows calculator. 123 plus 108
Just
plus
look at the leaderboard, dingus.
69. What the hell is
So-
board?
690.
690. It's on the leaderboard, you ding dong.
That's
I
almost
was
my
trying
favorite
to
number.
learn my basic addition and subtraction. Why do you gotta just give me the whole cheat
Well,
sheet
why are you using a
leaderboard thing?
calculator?
Thank you for the subscription and the biddies, Tengu Gemini. You're too generous. You're far too generous.
15, 16, 23,
I
42.
tried my best, Tengu, to math, but I was robbed of my rights and my calculator.
Math is my favorite part of the subtract cast.
The subtract cast. Okay.
Look at the sine cast.
The what?
Sine, cosine, it was a math
Cos-
word.
I don't want to do math. Like,
Kinda
Rhett
half of a
showed
joke.
me some of the math he was
For a
doing
joke.
last year for school, and I was like, fuck that shit. I'm
Mhm.
out. It gave me nightmares.
Oh man, that was fun.
No.
Oh,
That
that
math
made me miss school.
Ugh.
made me miss school. Only John Thayer would fucking say something like that.
Ah,
All right. Are we ready to go?
blissfully content.
If y'all are ready, then I'm going to go ahead and kick into an intro and we will roll.
Okay.
All right. This fire is burning and it's out of control. It's not a problem you can stop. It's the Sockscast, episode 82, brought to you by Falcom, because that's all that matters anymore is Falcom. We only play Falcom games on the Sockscast anymore. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. Mm-hmm. To my immediate virtual right, he can take your bitch ass in a fight. It's Rhett.
Hey.
Hey, Rhett. Guess what?
What?
We've been doing this for 4 years now.
Oh. What the fuck? That's way too long.
I know. Like, what's going to happen first? Are we going to hit episode
Oh,
100 or the 5-year anniversary?
What number is this? 83?
82.
82. Shit. I'm not looking at the thing. I think
18 episodes in a year, so it'd be halfway between every 2 weeks and every month.
Mm-hmm.
boy, that is a close comparison then.
It's a
Yeah.
close
'Cause we're-
call, yeah.
Yeah, get your bets out, people. Get your bets into the pool.
I think we'd hit 5 years first because sometimes we go more than 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Sure.
we definitely do.
But it'll be close, I think.
What do you want to do for What do you want to do for 5 years? The 5 year, like, we got to do something, you know? I think so. People listening, I know what we do. We do it again. We do the whole bring it everybody to talk and do a 9-hour
Jesus.
podcast, and Polly won't.
No.
And Polly doesn't stop until she's talked to literally everybody.
Okay, here's what we do. We set up a camera and we play through Undertale, and I'll comment on it, and then Chelsea joins us because she hadn't played Undertale yet.
Boom! Called out.
I mean, that game's only like 6 hours long.
I
really.
know. It wouldn't take long. And then I'll take calls while y'all are playing.
Yeah.
And then it'll be fine. And it'll be fine. To my immediate virtual left, bring on the mayonnaise! Because he's really, really white and pasty. It's John Fire!
It's not fucking Miracle Whip. Hi!
Miracle Whip is terrible.
Miracle Whip is bad, garbage, fake mayonnaise, and it made me think I hated mayonnaise for
I know.
like my entire
People-
childhood.
People fucking bitch all the time. Like, I am a staunch supporter of mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's great
Let's
because it's
get
not
it.
fucking Miracle Whip.
All right, everybody else in the call. Mayonnaise. Thoughts. Go.
Not a fan.
Sometimes, but not always.
I'm a fan.
I literally like asked not to have any mayo or Miracle Whip on my sandwich once, and my dad put Miracle Whip on it, and then I looked and I ate it, and then later I looked at it, the thing, and the Miracle Whip was 6 months expired.
Oh.
Oh!
That's even worse.
Yep.
Oh.
That was my most recent Miracle Whip experience.
Oh.
I've avoided it ever since.
God. That's terrible. Simon Belmont's favorite condiment, Miracle Whip. Boom, motherfucker!
God.
From downtown, bitches. And we got a special guest with us today. Coming all the way from his own channel. He ditched his own stream to make time for us tonight. What a lovely fellow. He will fucking cut you. It's After5.
I'll cut you?
You'll fucking cut me.
Oh, I guess I will. All right, where's my knife?
Let's go. I would have a butter knife fight with you.
I would too. Plastic butter knife fight.
Plastic butter knife, even better.
Perfect.
We'll roll into the Shonies. We'll grab their entire stock. Boom. There. Meet me in the back alley, bitch.
All right, sweet.
All right.
No plastic cup shields though. All right.
No, that's cheating.
That's cheating. Yeah.
That's straight up cheating. So After5, welcome to our very dumb thing. First of all, so why don't you give yourself a bit of an introduction to the audience? Who the hell are you, and what do you do?
All right, hold on. For starters, I'm chewing on dinner, which is why I'm a little slow to respond sometimes. So, I'm After5, and well, as a day job, I work at a dog kennel, dog boarding kennel. It's a pretty sweet job. It kind of sucks, but it usually doesn't suck. So, hooray!
You love puppos.
I love puppums.
That helps.
Especially when they name their dog puppums. No one's named their dog puppums yet, and I'm waiting for it.
Wait, yeah. When that happens, you should be promoted to manager.
Oh, all right.
What's
How about
the
I get my
worst
own
name?
dog and name it Puppums and have it board at the kennel?
That's probably cheating.
You're right.
What's your
Fine.
favorite name of a dog at the kennel, and what's your least favorite name of a dog at the kennel?
Favorite names? Oh God. I don't
Have to
know
pick
if I
one.
call it.
We're not going to be here all day here.
I don't know if I call it a least favorite name, but I have a least favorite dog.
Okay.
And I guess the name would like attach to it. Stazu.
Stazu?
Stazu. It does not starp. It does not stop barking ever, and it's a beagle. So like,
Sounds like a shithead of a dog. Fuck you, Stauzu.
Yeah. It's more like a
it's just like,
barkle.
like all day, every day, no matter nothing.
Oh my God.
Like 2 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m.,
And even
3
after
p.m.
5.
Japanese time,
Can
anytime.
you imagine owning that dog and not killing it?
Wow!
Polly, I appreciate that joke.
Thank you.
I missed it. Sorry. Okay, I know why they're not killing the dog, because they leave it at your kennel so that other people have to deal with it.
We only got to deal with the dog 8 hours a day. They get to deal with it the other 16. So you like puppums. What else do you do?
So when I stream part-time, well, actually, recently, in particular, I've been doing a project on my channel called Falcom Frenzy. It's been focused pretty much entirely on the Trails/Kiseki series developed by Falcom. And needless to say, I have converted to the, I don't know, to the Church of Kiseki. Is that a thing?
That's probably a thing.
Definitely.
Pretty sure that's a thing.
Chelsea's head priestess.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
She's
She
the
was
one that
preaching
got.
it
She's the one that
long.
kind of got everybody into the whole Falcom thing, because she was like where I picked up. Like
True.
my experience goes like to East 3 on SNES and hating it. And that was all my East experience up until I played Oath and Felghana like in 2010 or something. So
Yeah, I remember that. That was my first experience with it, too. Because I remember you talking about Oath and Felghana, and then I went and bought it and played a bunch, and it was great.
I think for me, it started with Origin. I don't think I got it exactly on the date of PC release, but I think it was maybe like half a year to a maximum of a year after it came out. And I think just like in sort of like the related games section or something, kind of just saw like Trails. I'm just like, Trails in the Sky. So I kind of like Googled it a little bit and kind of put it in the back of my head. And then, I don't know, it took me ever since then till now to be like, yeah, let's go ahead. And I mean, I guess I'm glad that I kind of waited that long. Granted, like, the actual wait period between the games if you were to kind of play them as they came out.
Oh, good lord! If you were Chelsea, unfortunately.
Yeah, basically, my name was Chelsea, and I liked Trails games.
So, Falcom Frenzy, we're kind of going to be covering that whole thing, sort of interspersed over the course of the episode, but you gave us a good jumping in point with East, so that's probably a good place to start. What do y'all say? What do you want to talk some East?
Hell yeah.
All right, so I gave my first experience. After 5 years was Origin, right?
Correct. On Nightmare, blind.
I thought you played it on hard the first time.
Nope, it was... First time was Nightmare. Straight up Nightmare.
Best stream ever. Best stream ever that's not fucking archived.
Yeah. The glitch. The graphical glitch. Specifically Epona.
And it didn't just happen on Epona either. It happened on a couple other bosses, I remember. And it was only bosses for some weird reason.
And I think it was mostly the humanoid ones. Well, what's the name of that guy with the axe and he does all the ice stuff and just flings it all over the place? And
Tinger knows, probably. Let him tell him.
That's actually Jake.
The guy with the two bandanas or whatever?
Yeah.
Also
like
Jake.
Epona's buddy?
Also Jake. They're all Jake.
Jake, yeah. I'll just call him Jake for the time. Epona and Jake. Great pair. Yeah, I think he did it too. So it was just like pixelated flying shimmeries all over the screen and ice, and like that's kind of how it worked.
Does
Kind of
he
like
shoot arrows while riding on Epona?
Like Christmas decorations. What?
Does he shoot arrows while riding on Epona around the arena?
No, but we reached the point during that stream where he was going out of his mind at the Epona fight. I think it was the second one. And
I think it was both, really, but...
and then he put on the Ocarina of Time Epona theme over the game's music.
Yeah, just muted the game music, turn on the horse race, you know, the
Oh, God.
you know, I can't remember.
For over 30 minutes.
Yeah, I literally had to, okay, it was a 30-minute song, like, it was the extended version on YouTube, right? And I had to loop the extended version, like, 1.5 times before I could finish the fight. And this was already, like, 2 hours deep into attempts, so I was probably getting my schlonged by Epona for, like, 3.5 hours.
That was good times. That was a great set of streams. I'm so bummed that they're gone.
I was like really salty, but like it was like salty but with like a smiley face. I don't know. How's that even work?
I don't know. It was just it was a very fun mixture of I know he's fucking tilted and pissed, but he's also laughing a lot.
I'm too crazy to be angry.
Yeah,
I guess.
You reach a breaking point at some point. Yeah. Okay, so Rhett, what was your first Ys?
I played a little bit of Ys 3 on SNES and didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
it's pretty jank.
Felghana and really liked it.
Yeah, like Oath and Felghana, like the good one.
The good one.
After 5 hates it.
What?
Sorry.
Well, you played with Origin first. That's the one I don't like. Which
yeah,
is kind of
like
funny.
I'm on the opposite side completely. Isn't that like I dig what it does story wise, but I don't like the game at all.
I'm also the one weirdo that really likes 2. Everyone I know seems to bounce off that one.
It's the second half of that game.
I finished it.
The
only Ys games I've actually finished are Ys 1 and 2.
Cool.
The most recent PC re-release.
Yeah.
I think they're nice.
Yeah,
I
like
actually enjoyed 2.
2
honestly.
is enjoyable. I think 1 is better just because it's so like.
Sure.
It's brief and
it's brief.
Yeah.
It's concise. It does this one thing very well, and it doesn't do it for too long. Whereas Ys 2, I felt just kind of drags on, and especially when you get to like the end or the halfway point, and it becomes a real obtuse exercise in where the fuck do I go?
I mean, yeah, with both Ys 1 and 2, I got to close to the end and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then I like looked at a guide to wrap them up in like 45 minutes.
Mm.
But they're both
two
fun.
that had
they're
more
both
mirror
fun.
mazes, or was it both of them?
They both had mirror mazes, didn't they? like awful mirror
I think
mazes.
I think it was more. I think it was more atrocious than 2.
Oh God, yeah.
Just because, well, partially because the game was already longer, so you're kind of just like you're kind of tapping your foot a little bit.
It's a mirror maze.
Yeah, the mirror maze. That mirror maze.
What is a
I
mirror
think
maze?
I mean, I didn't take too long to get through it, I think, but I was getting a little bit, it was teetering a little.
Yeah, it's one of those I'm about to guide this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is a mirror maze?
The mirror maze.
know.
It's like a fucking door maze.
Okay, so it's a dorm. Yeah, they have. I mean, that's like at the first couple dungeons in both games where it's just like you're wandering around a cave and you have to kind of map it out in your head. Like I'm pretty here for that. It's just the games get bigger and bigger, and then I can't hold it in my head anymore, and then I kind of start to lose interest a bit. But always like the early game of Ys 1 and 2 is just like really fun and strong for me.
Mm-hmm. A lot of charm too. A lot of charm.
Yeah.
Really fun
NPCs
charming. And
who's the girl in 2 that I would die for? You know who I mean.
I know who you mean. It's Apple Girl.
Mina?
Okay.
Apple Girl.
Lyra?
Apple Girl.
Something like that.
Apple Girl. Ys.
You can tell we are real fans here, obviously.
Yeah, we know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. We are the Falcom experts. So that's where we all started with Ys, but like kind of where's your head at now with that series and what you do? We'll start with After5 because I think you have like an interesting trajectory through this series. Kind of like where are you at with that series now? Take us into like what got you here now and all of that.
All right. Well, frankly, I kind of took a big break from Ys until Ys 8 came out, and I'm just kind of like, all right, you know what? Let's kind of give this a go. I liked Origin. I haven't actually played any of the 3-man party type Ys games prior to 8, so I haven't played
Chelchetta and 8.
Celceta. I just, it's kind of just a game where I bought. I'm just like, it can't be bad. So I just popped it in with zero expectations, and like, as I started playing through Ys 8, I'm just like, you know what? This game is like actually legitimately really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like coming from Ys Origin, and then jumping into like not like directly, but just having Ys Origin being my favorite Ys experience up to that point. I was just surprised by like the character cast and then being like legitimately good. I'm not gonna say my favorite character just yet. And like the gameplay too was just like mega good. Like I don't know, I was just all around super satisfied, and it was one of those games where it just gave me that super rare feeling of like when I was done, I'm just like, I don't want to leave these characters behind kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I also just was so into it that I just decided to 100% it on a blind playthrough. I'm just like, bam, we're just going all in. I think my first playthrough was probably like 80 hours, 80 to 88 on Nightmare to 100% and get like everything platinum medal and blah blah blah. And it was probably one of the most satisfying action RPG experiences I've ever had, and probably still now, honestly. And then it was kind of pretty much as soon as I finished that big 100% playthrough, I kind of just went on YouTube and I'm just like, I wonder if anyone speedruns this game and if it's like any good, because if it is, I'm totally down with that. So I ended up contacting Poexel on Twitter. I'm just like, hey, do you know where I can go for like East speedrun stuff? And he's just like, I don't, but you can probably go to Ghost King. And then I'm just like, hey, Ghost King, I want to speedrun some East. Like, what can I do? And it's like, if you're doing East 8 in particular, you should go to this guy, Deln. I'm just like, okay. So then I got in touch with Deln, and then I popped into the Discord, and then I believe at that point, another speedrunner named Colin, he was already rooting the game at that point. I think he was kind of like getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of our base preliminary starting point was a Japanese run on Nico Nico. I forget the guy's name. I think it was Mabo. Yeah, Mabo. I think it was like a the first ever uploaded speedrun of East 8, any percent on easy, I believe was a 2:24 by Mabo. Or was it a 2:14? One or the other. I'm just like, okay. So I reviewed the speedrun, and I'm just like, okay, this is really cool. It's got like some cool skips. It's got some things that I don't even understand what this person is doing, but I can probably figure it out. Kind of stuff going on. I'm just like, okay, and it consolidates an 80-hour adventure into 2 hours and 24 minutes or less. And I'm just like, okay, that sounds good. That sounds with my ballpark. So, kind of just went in, started learning, and kind of just collaboratively continuing to optimize and reroute the game with Colin. Colin kind of ended up doing most of the, like, here's the new skips stuff. And then I kind of just take whatever he did. And I was just like, okay, here's how we can do it better. So he kind of like lay down the infrastructure, and I'll kind of like, tighten the nuts a little bit.
Tighten them nuts.
Yeah, I'm tightening the nuts. It's like, that's my job, you know what I'm saying?
It's an essential part of speedrunning. Same with holding your butt the correct way.
Yes, Tengu, actually, ever since the first ever speedrun, sub 7 Lombardia has already been achieved. We were already down the path of greatness since the first ever speedrun.
That's some deep inside jokes there.
I think we'll get to the lore of sub 7 Lombardia.
Sockscast?
What's up?
Inside
Just
joke?
saying deep inside jokes on the Sockscast? Who'd have thunk it?
Never.
So yeah, I ended up getting really into that run. I got, I had the typical like speedrunner curve. I'm just like, I love it, I hate it, I'm pissed off, I'm quitting. Now I love it. And I ended up managing to bump my time down to, what was it? I think it was like before RPG Limit Break happened, RPG Limit Break 2018. Which, by the way, if you don't know about RPG Limit Break 2018, it's a speedrunning marathon specifically guided towards, you guessed it,
Probably RPGs, I'm gonna bet. This motherfucker opened it.
It usually features FPSs and RTS.
This motherfucker opened RPG Limit Break. That's how good he is.
I ended up, I was not expecting to open RPG Limit Break 2018, but I did. I just submitted my run. I'm just like, yeah, let's just do this. And then they're just like, okay, here, you're opening. I'm just like, oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh. So I think it was like all throughout like mid-April till like the day before I went on my flight. I was just doing, I think, minimum 1 run, sometimes 2 runs a day.
Yeah. It was pretty, you were grinding the shit out of it.
Yeah, I think within that section of time alone, I think I just improved my sum of best by like 4 to 5 minutes in a month. And I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think when I submitted, I was like, I think my submission video was like a 151 or something.
Damn.
And my estimate was a 2 hour. I ended up nudging that down to a 155 estimate. And I think by the time I was ready to go, I think I was averaging like 145s, 144s, which was like pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, frankly, I love that game. It's a fantastic casual game. It's like the only speedrun. Polly kind of knows my journey through speedrunning.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Probably a little bit more than anyone else here.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta find the game, and sometimes the game just finds you. Like Bad Dudes.
Yeah, like...
I love it. I hate it. I hate this run. I love it.
I really do hate that run.
Does that run just find you 1 frame at a time?
Yes, literally. It finds me at 1 frame a second. So you are like, what's your time now? Like what, 141?
141. No. 140.24.
All right, yeah, we're going for the sub 140.
Yeah, I remember tweeting out. 140.25. Excuse me, 1 second off.
Yeah, you were 1 second off world record.
Oh.
I think I was 4 seconds off the previous hard drive, standard hard drive world record.
Yeah, but Mr. Borges, Mr. Borges is a cheater, though.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wank, you know.
Oh, Ease 8 speed running drama.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, are you using a Pro and an SSD? Oh, your loading times are way faster.
Oh,
No, it's okay. I love Borge. Borge is a good guy.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
we love Borge.
yeah. I'm just
Okay.
I'm the one actually being the wank
Yeah.
in this particular context. But yeah, his SSD run is a 138.07, which is like that's disgusting. Like that's literally a disgusting time.
Yes.
I think my sum of best on HDD is like a 137 like 06. So it's like wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
It's weird to me thinking that a run on PS4 now still has to be divided between HD and like a solid state drive. Like you kind of thought consoles just they were the same, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But now with
I don't
all like
Even
modifications.
think he uses a Pro. I think he just modded his standard base one and
With
just
an
like
SSD.
an SSD into it.
Which
But yeah,
that's an easy
I think
fix,
that
so.
probably has more influence than a.
Yeah, the Pro's not going to do
Pro, at least
much.
for a game like East 8.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure East 8 doesn't have any kind of enhancements on PS Pro because game boxes usually tell you if they do.
With the hard drive for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Like an
Yeah,
an
and also
SSD.
probably I doubt a company like Nisa would put that kind of stuff in. Boom!
Boom! Shots! Shots!
Sorry.
We hate
What?
them, right?
I don't mean to antagonize Nisa.
But they've
But-
botched East 8.
I do.
But they've botched East 8 4 fucking times.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like I mean antagonizing and okay, so there was actual East drama that occurred on the Discord. I think there was just like a 2-month period where like people just would not stop talking about like how poor of a job Nisa did on East 8, and like when you're like grinding out your favorite speedrun and you're trying to get it into Limit Break and you're trying to grind for Limit Break and like the local community is they're not like shit talking me or the run specifically, but like just having negative energy around a game that you care about is kind of like just
It gets
bland,
it gets
general.
bad. Yeah, like I wouldn't want to be in like a speedrunning community. It's something like Super Mario Brothers or something because it's so big and I know there's a bunch of assholes and it's like that's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you could find your own little clique within the
bigger,
mass,
yeah.
then perhaps. Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
'cause
I
the
don't mean
cool
to,
Mario
like,
games,
I'm
like,
not not trash talking those people, by the way, from the East community, because I ended up meeting them at Limit Break, and I'm like, I got along with them just fine in person, and they were just fine in person. Some of them even just straight up apologized to me, or just like, yeah, we kind of went a little out of hand with that one. I'm just like, you're fine, like,
You're fine. I'm not going to beat your ass or cut you this time.
yeah, I'll just
Know that
beat
I
your ass
could.
and cut you if you complain about East 9.
There you go. Yes, East 8 is that's definitely one of the best games I've played this year by far. It's incredible. It's just an incredible action game in and of itself. Like, yeah, if you've not played an East game, it's a pretty good jumping in point. It's pretty standalone. Not a lot of callbacks.
And it's prequel, quote unquote, or not even quote unquote. It's straight up prequel is East 5, but like, who the hell has played East 5?
Exactly.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, it's really not. The series has a fun chronology.
Because
Yeah,
you
I
mentioned
kid you not.
earlier.
You start the game with apparently East 5's like final sword, and
Yeah.
then you lose it,
And then you lose it.
which is like a nice symbol for, I guess, how much nobody knows anything about East 5.
Was that one even by Falcom, or was that like outsourced to someone?
4 was the one that was outsourced twice.
Yeah.
Yes, but also five was weird for a lot of reasons. I mean, you
Yeah.
have an attack button, but like in a different way. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I know nothing about 5.
It is a real wonky SNES game that I feel is good as a curiosity, but in terms of like, I'm not gonna sit down and play this for enjoyment. So to kind of like speed things along, I guess.
Better or worse than Lagoon?
Like, we can all agree East 8 is great. Rhett needs to play it. John needs to play it. Like, me and After5 are the only two that have really played it, and it's really great.
Well, I just want to add, you mentioned everybody's journey through Ease earlier, and it's just funny that I played 6 and 7 over the summer in preparation for 8, and now I hear that those 100% don't matter.
Yeah, it's not that they don't matter.
It's that they literally happen after. I know it's more about the gameplay progression, but
Yeah.
like when there was a character in 7 that was a major character in 6, like that felt cool that there was a little continuity, and now literally none.
There is a character in East 8 that was in Salsetta.
Grizzy.
Yeah, Griselda.
Her name is Griselda.
Oh,
She's
cool,
like she's one of the last castaways
cool.
you find.
huh?
She's like
Her
literally.
redesign is pretty sweet though.
Oh god,
Like,
yeah, so good.
She's pretty OP.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually
So
was going to
6,
play
3,
Salsetta next.
0, 7, 4, 8.
Now, it makes you
Right.
feel better though. The upcoming East 9 is a sequel.
Wait,
to
was
8.
that announced?
Yeah, it's gonna be straight up
Yes.
sequel to 8.
Oh,
so-
shit. Yay.
It's like actually happening. We don't know any details, but like Falcom's just like, yeah, East 9, it's happening after East 8. Okay, see you guys later. I was like, oh,
Kicks ass.
Please
Just
bring
want them
back
to keep
Donna.
making games forever.
Bring back Donna. Bring back Donna. Please bring Donna
back
back.
Donna.
Please.
By the way, Donna, that character I was talking about, Donna. All right, if there's at least one thing that you should play East 8 for, it's for Donna. All right, because
Yeah.
like Donna is like the best character in terms of like actual combat, and also she's just the most well-written character. And like all you Laxia fans out there, sit down. All right.
Oh,
Honestly,
get dunked on. Get dunked on. Bring back Donna.
I only don't have an opinion because I haven't played it yet, but I'm sure you're wrong.
Well, that's
Well,
John's
that-
thing. That's John's thing. John is always wrong.
Oh.
No, After 5.
Oh, you think?
Why?
Wait. You're
Who's,
oh,
I don't know who Laxia is though.
but you're probably gonna like her more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
when
okay.
you play East 8 and you were inevitably wrong, I'm gonna laugh.
Look, I just wanted to be confrontational. Okay, God.
So you played 6, 7 in preparation for 8. You're probably
Yeah.
you're gonna get around to that sometime in the next year or
Well-
so, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I got to play Salsetta first though.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Just what?
I don't know.
Wait, what?
It's kind of regarded as like the weakest of the modern East
I
games.
mean,
so.
isn't that the one that just kind of reuses the engine from 7?
Oh yeah, it's based on 7's engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, John? Got any other experience with East?
I've got 6 Hole loaded up. I'm gonna play that soon. Probably.
That's a good
'Cause
game.
I'm really feeling that Falcom energy.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
That's nice
I
about-
could honestly just see myself doing like 6 and Oath and Origin and 7. I like it.
yeah. You're gonna
I
get
like Falcom.
big Falcom energy from this episode. Just heads up.
Big
Falcom
Falcom
fuel.
energy.
I've already got a lot of reasons to be horny for Falcom, so I'm excited to
jeez.
continue that.
You know what I like about E6?
Yeah.
It's also pretty brief.
Oh God, yeah.
Yep.
It's very short.
Yeah.
You could beat
Yeah,
that in like
so
6 or
I feel-
7 hours.
I'm feeling some good vibes from that one. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Which
little
one's
rough
6?
around the edges because it's the first quote-unquote modern East game, but it's still a solid game, and it's only going to take you like 6 or 7 hours.
I like the sprites on 3D environments look a lot.
The PS2 and PSP versions, they turned those into models, and they look bad.
Ah,
And they
Oh,
added,
okay.
and like Konami added a bunch of bad voice acting.
mhm.
Yeah, Konami
I
had
got
the
the
East
PC version.
license.
And I have your PS2 version, but I'm gonna play the PC version.
Yeah,
It's funny that the PC version looks more like a PS1 game because it's sprites, but
Yeah.
it ends up looking better.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Cool.
All right, are we
So I mean, like,
talk on break and then?
so
more
yeah,
Falcom?
like we're gonna get back into more Falcom. I'm not trying to cut our boy After5 off, but he's got like a big thing going here. He is the connective fiber throughout this episode. That we're gonna be,
Connective fiber.
yeah.
Hmm.
You're the connective fiber. It's a way of saying that you're going to be the one holding this show together because, you know, your content is going to be interspersed throughout everything. You know.
kind of like the connective tissue, like you're just the flesh that's binding us
Oh
all.
my
into
God.
one.
Yeah, you're just like a big
Hold on,
individual
hold on.
organism.
Pause button. I'm getting some internal darkness going on right now. Can we stop?
All I already knew what you were gonna say. It just was passing all throughout the single Sockscast organism now.
After 5, who's going next? Throw it to somebody. Throw it to somebody before John keeps talking. Who's next?
Well, then I guess I'm not going to vote John. Rhett.
Hey.
How's it going, Rhett?
Love you, John.
Going good.
What you been up to?
So normally when you do the start of the episode, you say, like, to my immediate virtual right, it's Rhett. And I had a thing prepared, but then you started talking about how we've been doing this for 4 years, and I was like, aw, that's sweet. But today, we are here to answer a question.
What is that question?
For each of you, would you fuck Bazette? The female Bowser that is sweeping the internet like nothing I've ever seen before.
Okay. Pause button really quick, all right? And this is going to go into like fast forward real quick, all right? There is a guy that I follow on Twitter because I like him and he's a good guy, but he also likes to retweet a bunch of pictures that are anywhere in between safe for work to not safe for work category at any given moment. I came home from work. And I clicked see new tweets. And I think I scrolled for 16 seconds of nothing but him retweeting Bowsette pictures.
Okay,
like, I also had 8 notifications about the whole Sockscast thing tonight, so I was like scrubbing through this and like clicking my notifications. I'm just like, I can't even find these notifications in my timeline because my timeline is nothing but Bowsette.
I think okay. I like Heather's answer to this is that Bowsette is the one that does the fucking.
Yeah,
okay, that's a great answer.
That's a great answer, but it doesn't hit the round table. So, Rhett, you can call on whoever you want to answer first.
It's fine. I just wanted to.
Okay, after 5, would you fuck Bowsette?
Hell no.
Okay.
Okay.
John.
Wow.
John, would you fuck Bowsette?
Bowsette would fuck me. Yeah.
Rhett.
Hell yeah.
I would only fuck Bowsette if it was like sort of more muscular and kind of fangy. I kind of want to be.
So you definitely want to be fucked by a muscular Bowsette.
I would get fucked by a muscular Bowsette.
Okay.
Bite my neck, please, while you're doing it.
Yes.
Oh, jeez, with those sharp teeth.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I want that.
Very good.
I need that in my life. After 5, just disappeared from the call. Weird. I'm kidding.
Oh, bye.
Teeth are good. All right.
Okay, Rhett. Before we decided to get real horny.
Before Rhett decided to make the call real horny.
No, see, that's my default state now. I'm being honest with myself.
I know.
In life and on Twitter.
It's been very nice. It's like you're.
You've embraced your.
It's like we're post Persona dungeon, where like you've accepted shadow self or something. You're self-actualized.
Shadow Rhett is just like, you love being trash. Show me all of the anime pussy.
I don't know how I feel about this conversation direction right now.
You had to hear the last episode and where it went.
Yeah, last episode went a few places.
It's like a post-Persona dungeon.
Oh my god.
All right, when is the P5 DLC with Rhett's Dungeon and Bowsette?
I need this. I need this. Oh my god.
Okay, so on the VR front, last week I'd only played the first level of Thumper, and it was really damn cool. I played about up to level 6 now, of 9, I think. And that game's weird, because it's like, I really, really, really love what you're doing, but man, you keep kind of doing the exact same thing for a little bit too long.
That was my experience with it.
So, like, I swung incredibly hard from, like, this is fucking incredible, this is the most amazing experience, like, this is the best VR game, to playing level 6 and being like, that sure was, like, exactly the same as the last one.
And don't the stages go on for, like, 8 to 10 minutes apiece, and it's just like...
They're like 15 minutes if you don't die.
Oh my god.
And the thing that kind of drives me nuts is, like, it's a music game at its heart, you know? So you'll go through these songs and you'll kind of piece out repeating parts, like it's building a melody and kind of twisting it and increasing in intensity. And then every level kind of ends with the same boss showing up, and then it just kind of wimply fades out once you beat it.
Yeah.
So like, there's no payoff, and I'm like, if the last level does that, this goes in the trash. Like, I still want to get to the end. I don't want to know if something happens at the end. I swear to God, it better. It's so weird though how it's like an NES game in the way every level just ends the exact same way with the same boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly weird.
Yeah, I got several levels in, and I was like, okay, I think I've kind of had my Thumper experience, but I also wasn't playing it in VR, so I can understand just having a little bit more staying power.
VR, yeah. But yeah, like around level 6, it's just like, okay, like it introduces one minor gimmick per level, and the one in level 6 is just like, oh, now if you miss these, you'll actually take damage. So it's like very minor. So maybe that's the last thing, or maybe there's more. I don't know. But like when that game clicks, it's insanely cool. But
I just wish it was like 45 minutes long, basically.
Yeah, it does not. I just don't think it has enough variety for its runtime because those levels get long.
Yeah, just make it much shorter and harder, I think.
Yeah, because it's until level 6, and even then, like by then you've been playing so much, it's not very hard. Like it, because that game is actually so forgiving with missing stuff. It's really not very hard at all.
Yeah, and you don't really want to go back and up your rank because they're so long.
I don't give a shit about the rank at all. It's like, oh, cool, I got an S on this one, and oh, I don't give a shit if I got a C on that one.
Yeah. If it was much shorter, then it might matter. You might be like, yeah, I want to get my high rank on this.
I kind of do like the long levels though, because like it gets you into that kind of a trance state of just like,
yeah, I get that,
thinking less about, like when you're not actually focused on thinking about what you're doing, it's just kind of an emotion. Like it just kind of happens. You're just kind of in the, because again in VR you're in the world, so you're not thinking about like your hand movements. You're just, so that's a cool game. But yeah, I think I would have taken it with less levels that did a little more variety wise.
I think I compare it a lot with Super Hexagon in my head, where it goes on for like a really high level game is 2 minutes long, and
yeah,
and then you still get in that trance state once you're past the high scores. Like so,
yeah. This is like, we're gonna put you in here for like 15 minutes. Like it's totally different in that regard.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And then continuing another journey I've been doing all year, basically.
Oh Lord.
What?
Here we go.
I played the newest Yakuza game, Yakuza Kiwami 2.
Yeah, this is a remake of Yakuza 2. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Kiwami means extreme. So it's just Kiwami is Extreme 1.
Okay.
It's a remake of the first game, then Kiwami 2 is just a remake of the second game. But the difference this time is that the game engine is based on Yakuza 6. So it looks way better and has all the quality of life improvements from 6. And on PS4, unfortunately, the frame rate has gone back down to 30.
Oh, well.
Whereas 0 and Kiwami were a nice 60 frames a second. And that's really rough to get used to at the start, because the combat feels way different in this one. And, the combat starts to feel a lot better towards the end of the game when you start unlocking, all the heat actions. But towards the start, I'm like, oh my god, this kind of feels like junk. So you just kind of have to play enough to forget what the older ones felt like.
Oh, no. That seems like it would be a real hard swing to get used to.
It took 10 hours or something to get used to it. But, so that's disappointing. But, the whole thing in this one now is that, so I played, 4 and 5 on PS3 back in the day, so I've seen kind of the overall evolution of this, and it's wild how you used to have a load screen when you got into a random battle, and then another load screen leaving a random battle, and now it's just battles are 100% seamless, fade, no fades or anything. It just goes into the battle, and then the battle ends.
Like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, exactly like that. Honestly, you see it hitch a bit at the start of a battle, but it's incredibly minor. But the real big thing in this one is that all the buildings...
Oh, you can go into all the buildings now.
with no load screen.
Yeah.
Like, they're all just part of the open world now, whereas before, like, every restaurant, every interior had a short little load screen. So now you can just walk in the building. Sometimes you can have a fight in, like, the restaurants.
Have it spill into the restaurant.
Yeah. So there's cool moments like that. So, like, that kind of stuff, like, you do see the real improvements in the engine. And, like, obviously it makes going to restaurants way easier because, load screens and stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like, I kind of, about halfway through this one, I was like, man, I've kind of been playing a lot of these games this year, huh?
Like, you played what? 0, 6,
I played 0
Kiwami and 1, and
never-
Kiwami 1?
No, I played 0 and Kiwami. I didn't play 6 yet.
Oh, I thought you'd played 6 already.
No, because I want to do...
They're all fucking running together for me, Rhett.
I know.
You'll have to forgive me. How are you
6
deliberating this at the end of the year?
The answer is 0 still. Like, 0 it kicks the shit out of the other games, honestly.
Good, because that's the one I just bought.
Yeah. No, that is...
Byron
perfectly
says
the
it's
one.
basically the Phantom Menace of the Yakuza games. Do you think that's accurate?
Wait, which one?
He's 0. Said it's bad. He doesn't like it. And
What?
he replied a bunch to me about it. No, he didn't reply a bunch. I'm kidding. But he did. And I was a little bit like, okay. I'm going to take that with the grainiest of grainy salts.
I think the worst parts on 0 is where it has to conform to the continuity established in the other games.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, the fact that it got to be a clean slate at the very start, though, was kind of great.
Cool.
So yeah, it is really nice, though, having played 0 and 1 so close to this one. Like, there's a scene in this game, like a flashback scene, with 3 characters talking who are all currently dead. And I totally know who all of them are. It's like, oh yeah, it's that guy from the previous game who died. It's like, they can make kind of obscure references, and I totally keep up with it now. Whereas, like, when I jumped into 4, I was so freaking lost at the start. Even though that, like, most of the games they're self-contained stories, 90% of it.
But there is continuity.
Yeah, like, some characters, not every character dies at the end, just most of them. This series tends to kill off characters pretty liberally, actually.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I'd always heard that 2 was, like, kind of the fan favorite, but maybe that's people who played, like, the original I guess it would have to be people who played the PS2 originals.
Yeah, the original Yakuza 1 was rough.
Oh, I'm sure. And Yakuza 2 was also a PS2 game. That's why they got the remake treatment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the story, like, it has its moments, but I don't think it was as, like, definitely not as good as 0. I'd pace it maybe around 5 and below 4. That said, like, it ended really strongly, which is, like, kind of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so bonkers in, like, the last hour. It's just, like, oh, it was me all along. I betrayed you. Oh, yeah, well, I double betrayed you. Well, I'm over here, and I triple betrayed you all. It's like,
I love ending sequences like that, where
It gets-
just, like, it's continuous escalation.
yeah, like, 2 and 4 do that a lot. And, like, when I saw it in 4 for this, I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest ending ever. It's so stupid. Like, there's one part in 2, though, so I finished the game, like, a couple hours ago, because I really wanted to for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
There's one part, though, where, like, they do some weird momentum stuff. Like, they introduce plot lines that you think are going to be a big deal, and then it goes nowhere for no reason. We're like, oh, we're preparing for war against the Omi Alliance, but oh no, they also placed 31 bombs around the country, or not the city. And then the bombs just kind of get disposed off camera by other characters.
Oh.
And then Kiryu's just like, I'll take on the Omi Alliance myself. And you expect this huge fight, and then it's like 9 guys, and you're like, oh, what?
That's it?
Especially when in Yakuza 5, you literally do take on an entire clan yourself and fight like 100 guys. Like, the series isn't above just being completely absurd.
Yeah, like 9 guys feels real fucking restrained.
It was really awkward, because then the final actual gauntlet, like an hour later, is you versus like 100 guys. So it just felt like
What was
there
that,
just-
you know?
yeah, it's just like, oh, we want to do one more thing in the story, so we like split this segment up into 2 parts and kind of totally fucked up the pacing or something. It's weird. It's like these games always have one stumble right at the end that bugs me more than it should. And then, like, one of the big side games from Yakuza 0 came back, which is the Cabaret Club, where you run a hostess bar. And it's way more fun and sweet than it should be. Like the story in this one's really good, and it's like positioned as a sequel to the Cabaret Club in 0.
Oh wow.
So, like, one of the girls from that one comes back, but she's like 40 years old now and running her own club. So like that kind of stuff is cool. Like having this continuity that they built in from 0. Like 0 has been worked into the remakes to make it more a part of the continuity instead of just this prequel that nobody ever references ever
it's
again.
It's not off being its own like self-contained thing that doesn't connect, but then it does. But they're kind of like putting the hooks in there now to make it feel more like a part of the series, which that's really cool. Yeah.
And then there's this also, there's 3 new chapters in this game that I haven't played yet because they're a side thing called the Manchima Saga, where you play as the other guy from Yakuza 0 for 3 chapters. And it's also kind of a semi-epilogue to that story in 0 as well. So I'm going to play through that this week. But yeah, the Cabaret Club thing is way more fun than it should be, and like I think they sped it up a lot from 0, whereas I got through it pretty quickly in this one, which is good because I played the one in 0 a ton and like got halfway through the story of it. It was just like, okay, I've had enough.
Can't do it.
But now I'm like, oh, maybe I will go back and finish it off because I care about these characters now, so I want to see their younger selves again.
Who cares about characters in video games? Patooey.
I mean, that's absolutely what carries this series for sure, is the characters and like some of the long-term stuff, like seeing Kiryu over, what is it, 7 games now? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's really funny hearing people talk about it because it just sounds like kind of an RPG series, but
I mean, it
kind of is really.
Yeah.
It's action RPG for sure, I think. But I mean, every genre blurs together. Like it's also an open world game, but it's just kind of a more Shenmue-ish open world where it's just one town and a couple city blocks.
Better.
Basically. Yeah, it's like the town is so much smaller than like every other open world.
So they can actually fill it with cool shit.
Yeah, so like you start to learn like every street corner and like every building. Like it's got a lot of character, the town as well.
Yeah.
And there's a fucking lot of shitheads who are like, oh, look at this guy, let's pick a fight with him. Like, the whole random enemies thing is so silly. We're just like, every 20 feet there's like 5 like delinquents like ready to start a fight. And then you just throw a motorcycle at them and...
It's the best way to handle all of life situations, really.
Yeah. And man, the heat actions in this, like, I guess that's every game, they are just fucking brutal.
Oh god, yeah. I saw you post video of a few of them, and it was just like, man, remember Sleeping Dogs? That game had some great fucking environmental things that you could do. Oh, it's so good.
I think the ones in Sleeping Dogs were a little bit more violent because they were explicitly like, yeah, that dude's dead.
Whereas
they're brutal and sometimes like comedic. There's one where like you throw a dude off a bridge and he just splashes into the water. So I do use that one a lot because it's a one-hit kill because they're not getting back into the fight.
Yeah.
One time last night I did it, and a boat comes by while I'm throwing it, and it was like a special animation where the guy like lands on the mast of the boat, like groin first, and like screams, and I'm like, what the hell? Like I've thrown like 50 dudes off this bridge, and that never happened before. Like this game's wild.
That's incredible.
It's weird when you get. Like, you play this game for so long and then you see animations that you never noticed before. Like, if you're fighting on stairs and you go to throw guy, he'll just pull the enemy down the stairs, which also doesn't look particularly comfortable.
Right.
But yeah, that game's really good, but it's also like... 0 is still kind of the standout one for me, for sure.
Yeah, I'm very eager to kind of get into that once I finish up a current project that I've been playing, so...
So... I think eventually they're going to do 3, 4, and 5 remastered.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Those are in Japan. And, like, in Japan now, the 60 frames a second is back because they're porting PS3 games.
Yeah.
I'll probably get 3 and then rewatch the cutscenes for 4 and 5 and then finally play 6 afterwards.
Nice.
That's my Yakuza journey, which is on pause for a while because I think it might be a bit. They've been releasing these games like every 6 months.
Yeah, like these things are coming out fast.
Because Zero came out a few months ago, and like there's a Fist of the North Star game by the same development team that plays. Like you can play as Kiryu in that.
Yeah,
they just put him in the game.
yeah.
Like, hey, if you just want to play the whole game as Kiryu, you can. Like we don't give a
6
shit.
came out. 6 came out a couple months ago, right? Zero's been out for a little while.
Yeah, Zero was like last January, then Kiwami a few months later, then 6 this summer, then Kiwami 2, then Fist of the North Star is in like a month or so.
Gotcha.
Like it's a lot.
That's insane.
And they don't even bring over every game. There's a whole like medieval Yakuza side story that never gets localized. So there's like at least 2 games in that haven't come over and probably never will. Like Ishin, I think is what it's called.
Ishin, yeah.
At least there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Cool. Who's up,
So-
Brett?
John.
Yay! All right. There we go. Got all sat up. That probably was a little louder than it needed to be.
Probably.
There's 2 things I want to talk about, and one of them is related to Rhett, and one of them is related to After5. Let's do After5, so we can kind of keep friends involved, you know?
Ooh, okay.
All right, cool.
Let's do this.
Hey, After5, I found my Yu-Gi-Oh deck.
Oh God, damn it. Okay, let me go pull out mine too.
Okay, what is your experience and relationship with Yu-Gi-Oh? Since you're the only person I know with one right now, so that's like contemporary, as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is about, I think, 2 years old now since I have actually gone out and like played against real people.
Okay.
But I kind of just been sort of generally following how the card game has been going. I kind of just like to follow card games that I used to play for some reason. I don't know.
No, I get that. I've been watching a bunch of videos. I've been watching a bunch of videos by some current Yu-Gi-Oh writer. It's just been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I mean, honestly, about 2 years ago, I think the game was actually like in a pretty good state in terms of like the actual functionality of the TCG. Like, people weren't so like overpowered to the point where, you would literally like. So let me like dial forwards and then I guess dial back and bye Polly, by the way. So I watched I think it was like a 2018. I think it was like either like a nationals or like a world's tourney, and it was basically like one person spent about like, I think it was actually like 17 minutes executing his first turn.
Oh my God! What is wrong with people?
The other guy just scooped because it was like a board that he just couldn't beat, and he looked at his hand and just like, yeah, there's no way I could like beat this. So like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, at this point, might as well just be like rock paper scissors, and like whoever goes first just wins. Because like it's so like
that's why they added that new rule where I'm the person who. It used to be just that the first turn person can't attack on their first turn, and now it's they can't attack and they can't draw. As I understand.
Is that true?
They don't get their first draw phase.
Okay, I actually didn't even know about that.
I think they added that rule in recently, just as a way of helping mitigate things just a little bit. Bye, continue.
Okay. Yeah, just right now, and I think probably just here on out, in general, the TCG is basically based on who goes first and do you have 12 hand traps in your deck. Because hand traps are like the only way that you can stop someone from just like playing 32 cards on their first turn.
The thing with Ash Blossom? You mentioned that, right?
Yeah, Ash Blossom is like one of the main, in my opinion, one of the main perpetrators. That card is like just stupidly overpowered. So it has like 3 effects. I'm trying to kind of call from memory because I'm not just gonna sit here and you know what? I am gonna sit here. I'm gonna open up TCG Player and I'm gonna
just read. Please, I actually didn't read it yet, so for full context, please read me the card effect.
I will read you the card.
I will enjoy it.
Which is actually 3 card effects, I think.
Excellent. 3 times the fun.
Now, bear in mind this used to be a $100 card. and now it's down to 30 after a reprint, but that's still like ridiculous. And you must have 3 in your main deck, otherwise you can't play this game anymore.
Pay to win.
Well, yeah, basically. More like
y'all should Google this card because it's a very cute card. It's like a little fairy girl, and she's just destroyed the game, which is excellent.
Okay, now I'm interested.
There you go.
When a card, or you know what? Maybe I'll just link it in the chat, and you guys can just see a picture.
When a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, you can discard this card and negate that effect. And so you can negate, add a card from deck to the hand. You can negate, special summon from the deck. You can negate, send a card from the deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Ash Blossom once per turn. So you can discard Ash Blossom from your hand to just stop your opponent dead in their tracks with whatever cool thing they're trying to do.
Yes, basically, because pretty much any kind of major effect in the game is, tutoring, search from the deck to the hand, special summon is out of the deck, or like especially in the case of Blue Eyes when we have like the stones that sends thing to the graveyard, or like
that seems rough.
Dragon Shrine. Yeah, it's basically OP. But like
I could still summon my Relinquished, so I'm okay.
Yeah, honestly, the main reason why I actually stopped playing was just because, at least in my local area, that I did not want anything to do with the community that was involved there. Like, you would literally have people just, like, walk up over your shoulder and be like, wow, I can't believe you're playing that deck. You're such an idiot. And, like, just walk away.
God.
I don't think I've ever done anything community-related where people would just literally go out of their way, in person, to walk up to you to tell you that, like, you're an idiot for playing the same game that they're playing. I'm just like, cool?
That sucks.
And just, like, matches between people, like, I don't know. It felt like every match that I was playing against someone, it's like they had, like, their pride on the line or something. Like, it almost felt like they took the Shadow Realm, like, literally or something. They lost the match, they were going to go to the Shadow Realm. And they were, like real hardcore, and I'm just like, I don't think I can really handle this level. And then honestly, the number one game killer for me is the concept of the side deck. I don't know how many other TCGs have it, but Yu-Gi-Oh's the only one that I've played that has one.
Here, I can do a quick overview for the other two. It's just you have a little side deck of cards, and then Yu-Gi-Oh games are all best 2 out of 3.
You ain't got to do it. You ain't got to do an overview. I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. Continue.
Polly's just fucking done.
Well, no, there's other people. There's other people listening. Yu-Gi-Oh games are played 2 out of 3. So, and between your individual games, you can exchange cards in your deck for cards in your side deck that will specifically help you counter cards in your opponent's deck. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so like, just that, at least in the situation of Yu-Gi-Oh, because people would just roll cards, because like in a typical Yu-Gi-Oh meta, there's only like 3 or 4 decks, and then when you have 15 cards in your side deck, you can very easily just throw in 3 copies of any card that's good against any of those current 3 to 5 good meta decks. And Ollie, is that you?
Please continue.
Don't worry, I'm fascinated. Please continue.
And like, I don't know. I just love the difference in enthusiasm going on to my left and my right now. But yeah, it was really lame because you'd play a game and it'd be like pretty even, right? And then people would, in between matches, they just whip out the side deck and they would just like throw in like 6 cards. They're just like completely anti-Blue Eyes. And like turn 1, they just throw out a card, just like, yeah, you can't special summon anymore. I'm just like, okay. And then I just scoop because like you can't do anything because like there's just, there's cards that you can use to better your odds and improve your odds or like strategize against certain other decks. And then there's Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's literally like 1 card that is capable of shutting down an entire system of 55 cards between 40 main deck and 15 extra. It's just like, I don't think that should ever exist, Ash Blossom.
It seems to me like every trading card game is broken and stupid. Is that fair? Like, I don't even mean that in a negative way necessarily. Just like, I will come into a game like this accepting that it's broken and stupid, and that that's a consequence of there being this pool of 8,000 cards that everyone's building their decks out of. So of course you can't really keep that clean, I guess.
There's 8,000 cards, but here's the 15 that are viable.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like how fighting games are stupid, and because
they're all Marvel
hard,
versus Capcom 2.
Yeah, it's hard to balance. It's hard to balance when you have a pool that big.
Well,
That's
okay, so
go ahead.
Not every TCG does it. Clearly not Yu-Gi-Oh. But there's actually rotations. For example, Pokemon has a 2-year rotation. Any set that's printed 2 years down the road, it's just removed from the standard format. So like, Pokemon, for example, just rotated, and now everything from the X, Y, and below era is gone, and only expansions from Sun and Moon and on are like usable. And that's like a standard format. And then there's an expanded format which lets people, continue to play those cards, but all the official, like the world tournament, like the biggest possible tournament, is always standard format. But there are
it seems like a great way to
tournaments.
make the game a lot smarter and more balanced, while also forcing people to constantly buy new cards.
Exactly. It's the second thing.
Yeah, well, frankly, I think it's a better system than the way Yu-Gi-Oh does it anyway, because when you print a set, and then you print an intentionally OP set, and you intentionally print every good card only available in secret rare, so they're all $100 each. And then you ban those cards 3 months later because they're too OP, and then they want the next set to take off. Like, I'd rather have a 2-year cycle with my cards than a 3-month cycle with my cards. I'd also rather spend like 20 cents to $5 on average than $50 to $100 on average. So there is that going for it. And yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a business strategy. Like, at the end of the day, it's a business strategy, but I think it's a business strategy that helps the players rather than hurts the players. Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Now, the downside is that my ex-wife made me play Pokemon a whole bunch, and now I hate that game. So,
I mean,
so I'm probably not going to get into that one. Especially now that my entire thing full of cards is apparently useless.
I hate Pokemon too, just for the record.
Hey, John.
You got an anti-Pokemon buddy with you right now. I mean, okay, to be fair, I don't hate the games. I mean, gameplay-wise, like, they are just severely lacking in, like, all regards, basically. Like, when I started...
Pokemon. Okay.
This might sound kind of harsh, but when I started to play actual video games, I realized just like, yeah, you know what? I'm probably done with Pokemon unless they actually change things a lot for, like, Gen 8. And if they don't, I'm just going to be like, okay, maybe see you later. Just because I actually did end up playing the TCG at, like, a competitive event, like a full-on sanctioned event. And my experience with that was like 7.6 trillion times better than like Yu-Gi-Oh events. Like, the TCG itself is far more strategic. Every turn matters, every move matters, and card order matters. Not in the sense of like, I gotta chain together 65 cards, but like, do you attach energy, or do you like redraw first to like have a chance at getting something else where you wouldn't need to, or like you would rather attach energy somewhere else or whatever. And like, it's just far more strategic. And even though Pokemon, as every other TCG in existence, has experienced power creep, they don't usually, sometimes they print cards that I absolutely disagree with, but they usually just maintain the integrity of like the basic strategy of like, you kind of have to have this ebb and flow. Like, turns actually matter in the sense that, like, you have to predict like what your opponent might be doing with their deck like 2 to 3 turns down the road, so that you can already be like a turn ahead, 2 to 3 turns down the road.
So like an actual game.
So like an actual game, yeah. Like, you actually have to face off here against your opponent and not just spam 32 cards from your deck and then have your opponent scoop after 17 minutes. So yeah, it's like an actual genuine exchange, and honestly, I think it's pretty interesting. Now, the other card game that I did mention before, Way Shorts, which is basically Anime the card game.
Wait, what game?
Way Shorts?
I've never heard of that in my life.
I think it's if you actually want to pronounce it properly, it's called like Weissschloss or something.
Weissschloss.
It's like German or something. I think it's German.
Yes,
Straight
it's
up
very
German.
it's very German.
It's maybe like 2% German, but like that. I think that it's actually just like black white. Like that's the translation for it. If you just straight up English, just Google Translate. But like that card game is interesting.
Oh my god, this looks adorable.
Everything is like series based, right? So like you can if you want to play a deck, like you can only play Konosuba cards in a deck. So like even though there's no rotation, because you can't play anything other than Konosuba cards in a Konosuba deck, right? Like it's already like automatically isolated, and like things are kind of themed. Like you have decks that are good at like controlling your opponent. You have decks that are good at like leveling up early. You have decks that are good at like doing burn damage, which is like single points of damage, and then you have decks that are really good at a concept called compression. So like that card game is really interesting because it's basically not like any other card game you've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go around and like explain the rules because that would probably take me like 35 minutes in and of itself.
I'd fucking kill you.
I'm
if
seeing
you
a
tried.
Fate Zero themed Wild Schwartz deck.
Here's my
Is that
question.
There is
accurate?
in fact a Fate Zero themed
Right.
deck.
I've only got one question.
Woo!
Polly.
You mentioned Konosuba deck, right?
Yes.
I want my Konosuba deck to be nothing but Mega Man cards.
That I think actually exists.
Like and just the same card over
Just
and
the same
over.
card.
Just
Well,
the
no,
explosion card. That's all I need.
Okay, there is an explosion themed deck where there's actually, so there's a special kind of card. I'm just gonna cover this vaguely. Like there's a card called a climax card, which is like climax is like a story climax.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to.
And as opposed to so I'll go on a
As
tangent
opposed to
on
a
that later.
sexual climax.
As opposed to, you had to say it, didn't you?
Okay.
But there is literally the Megumin Explosion card. It's called Explosion. It's just called Explosion. It's a picture of Megumin exploding. I mean,
Oh, there's a Sword Art Online set. Sword Art Online. No wonder you love this so much.
okay. This might sound like absolute betrayal to my like morals and existence, but I actually have a Sword Art Online deck because it's actually good.
I think he's fucking tsundere for the series, honestly.
I mean, I haven't played that deck like ever since I took it once to a locals. I'm just like, I felt like complete shit playing this deck.
There's a Gurren Lagann themed deck.
There is.
There are multiple Fate decks.
Do you actually want mine? Because I can actually just like give you every single Gurren Lagann card.
Sure.
I bought the set and I was just like, this is cool.
All right, let me Google to see if there's like if there's a place I can go in town, because I Googled and there's like 4 or 5 places I can go in town now to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So let me see if there's places I can play Vice Shorts too.
Might as well.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a really cool card game, but like taking it seriously is like really difficult. It's strange because for how well structured and like how much like searching and tutoring and like pre-planning and like solid execution you can do, for some reason it's like the most dice rolled card game I've ever played. Like you can execute perfectly and then you'll just like lose. I'm just be like, what the hell just happened? And like it's kind of just
because TCGs are stupid.
Yes. That's
I mean-
my
I
take.
mean that in the most glowing way.
Not me.
I think
All right,
I feel like
here's my
Polly
goal.
right now is just like printing out like just copies upon copies of random Pokemon cards and just using them as toilet paper, like as
Here's my goal. I want to get to a point where I can punch up my relinquished deck to enough, punch up my rogue deck enough to the point that I can beat like a third of people at a local event, and every time it happens, they're going to be like, what the fuck? And that's going to be fun. So I
frankly,
love that.
I think you can do that with Dark Magician nowadays.
Well, that's my highest goal is to get to the point where I can beat people in a way that a handful of people in a way that's fun and surprising. But yeah.
Well,
I want a NEP deck.
I wish you good luck on that adventure, because if you don't go first, you're probably going to sit there for 17 minutes.
Well, again, that's like the competitive meta. Hopefully, that the local events here aren't quite that extreme.
Hopefully. I mean, that's actually what I thought when I first went to my locals, and like I showed up and like everyone was just rocking like max rarity latest meta deck, and I'm just getting pooped on like every fight.
I remember 2008 with the Dark Arm Dragon decks. Ugh.
Ugh.
I know, right?
I know,
Gosh.
I know, right?
Oh,
I
right.
just added that one in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's
I think that my experience was exactly the same 10 years ago, so I don't think it's changed. That's
No.
my thinking.
you know
That was fun because I went to these events with 25 and 35-year-olds, and we were like 14. So it was pretty adorable. Okay. I thank you for answering a bunch of my TCG questions. Do you have any other kind of big things to add before we and then we can move on before we completely kill Polly and Rhett?
Yeah, John, this was your segment.
I know. I wanted to talk about this, and I am very at peace. I'm very happy with my decision.
I will just say, this like a final comment to Vishwartz is just, it's fun. Like it's one of those games where like I will play this card game like casually, like forever. Like if I have a friend who will like play this with me, like I will play that card game like more than any other card game, because you can't take that card game seriously.
That's the thing with it, is that in order for me to invest, I need to have like a connection with the narrative that the cards are spelling out. So like with Yu-Gi-Oh, I've got the anime. With Pokemon, I have the games. With this, I have anime that I can connect with. So
yeah,
that's like the thing with Magic, is that it's probably the best of these, but I don't have any connection with that narrative. So it's hard.
This might be like really strange hot take, but I actually think that the art on the Magic the Gathering cards is like really boring, which is why I never bothered with that card game.
Cool.
Just kind of a random
It's just
outtake.
kind of
Sorry, Magic players, don't.
You're not going to hear anybody in this call disagreeing with you, I don't think.
I mean,
You're probably safe.
Taylor mentioned NetHack, which sounds cool too. NetHack isn't a TCG. It's just a giant set of 500 cards that exists and will never be added to. So that's cool. Okay. Polly?
Blade is the only card game I want to play.
Blade?
Yep.
Blade. Yes.
You'll get the Blade when you play Cold Steel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's my
want to
turn?
try it.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, it's your turn.
It's your
Polly.
turn.
I made a fucking video game!
Hell
Oh my
yeah!
god, you did.
Yeah, Poly Dungeon finally came out. It's something that was often talked about over the course of the last 2 years.
2 years.
I remember when I went into starting to work on the game for like the last week of work I was putting into it. I remember Rhett like DMing Rhett that this was what I was going to do, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you just killed it quietly."
I honestly, I'm so sorry.
I'm like, fucking wow. The game didn't
It
take.
had been like a year since you last talked about it.
The game didn't have I wasn't working on it for 2 years straight. If any, like the game probably has about 4 or 5 months of work into it, but it's just kind of spread over 2 years because busy.
Don't worry, I think we all get you.
Oh
Get
yeah,
where you're coming from.
especially John Thayer. But yeah, it's the and it actually got like that game came out. A lot of people really liked it. I'm surprised as many people stuck with it to beat it as they did. But like everybody seems to have been able to complete the game and had a good time with it. Lots of good feedback. People really loved the music, which was done by our friend Ghosty. Rhett contributed a lot in terms of some of the coding that was needed. He came up with the initial groundwork for how you would structure it, in terms of doing it in fucking Flash, which was
world Flash 4 expert.
Flash. Yeah, this game is made in Flash 4.
Yeah, and Rhett's the world Flash 4 expert. I think that's I will believe that now until I die, I think.
So we established that Poly Clicker is 3 years old.
Yes.
God, yeah.
So this started like 6 months after that or so.
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, everybody seems to have had a good time with it. It was fun. It just feels nice to have that thing out and just be like, oh, it's done. I released the thing.
Feels so good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. So if you haven't played it yet, it's on the front page. And you can go to socksmakepeoplesexy.net/polydungeon. It's real good. That game got its start on the Sockscast, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because John was talking about one of his dumb Saga games. And it was just like, he was real happy that things happened at random that totally shouldn't. And I remember saying something to the effect of, I'm just going to make a game that's for John Thayer. It's just going to be a black screen, and you'll have hit points, and you press the space bar, and you will either add or subtract hit points, and that's it. That's the fucking game. And that's how it started.
Why isn't it called Poly Saga then?
I don't know. I just, like, Dungeon, I guess I went with
You love the Dungeon font.
Yeah, I love the Dungeon. Yes, everything in the game is also, like, that's the name of the font, is Dungeon. It's a font that I've used probably since, like, 2005 for everything that I do on the site.
It looks very, like, on-brand Poly, I think.
Yeah, I think I've acquired that as my brand, I think.
Excellent.
But yeah, it got its start right here of John being stupid and liking dumb games.
I almost played. I almost booted up Romancing Saga 1 instead of Phantasy Star 2 in my RPG chaser this weekend.
I'm not sure which is the better choice there, to be honest. Polly, you know how at the end of Press Space to Win it says inspired by God of War?
Yeah.
I wish you'd put something like inspired by
Romancer. Yeah. Romancing Saga. I think it was Romancing Saga or something. But yeah, it was God, real stupid. Let's see. I put a little behind the scenes kind of page up a few days afterward, kind of like you can play the original prototype that Rhett sent me as sort of a proof of concept that's there.
I was like, Jesus, I barely remember making that.
And like there's the design document that I sent Rhett that he probably doesn't even remember me sending him.
No.
And like then there's like kind of like the first alpha build that I did.
I like how the white screen version is super rough, and then it immediately jumps to a version that looks like the final game.
Yeah, but it's just like I just kind of like took that idea and like fleshed it out and like gave it a bit of structure. God, do you believe that thing was going to be 20 floors long starting out? How the fuck?
I always thought that was a bit much. Yeah. Even though I kind of do wish there was a bit more floors, because I know you had to cut some stuff at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah, like we ran into kind of a frame issue. Look, it's hard to kind of manage a Flash project when you're kind of like putting it together, and it's just like you get into the heat of things, and like the game's halfway done, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna go back and fucking redo this.
Oh right, yeah. But basically, a little behind the scenes stuff like that section before the very end where you're walking down the hallway. Mm-hmm. Like I had envisioned that as like you would get an encounter, press the space bar, and like it would take a step forward and then give you the next encounter.
I thought about putting like encounters in there, but then that would require probably more artwork. Mm. Like, are you talking like battle encounters?
Well, just like kind of having the same flow as the other floors, but with a little visual movement between each turn. Mm.
Yeah, I kind of liked what I went with on that though. Yeah. Like I like that just like it starts completely black and you don't get any visual or audio for a couple turns. I thought that was I'm a genius basically.
I'm picturing that Cerno comic. Crap, I might just be a genius.
Crap, I might. Yeah, that's basic. That was basically me the whole time making.
That's probably all the time.
Yeah, like there's a pun happening. Boom, that's me.
When was the decision made to add the animated ghost to like floor 7?
And just like Ghosty was just like, hey, like this floor is themed with ghosts. I drew some ghosts, and I was like, well, fuck, I'm gonna put them in. That's how that happened.
Then the next floor has the floating. Food.
Yeah, like the thing is, it's like it's
hamburgers,
the hamburgers, the pizza. Like it's something that I wish I could have done for every floor.
That's where I was going with this, where it's like, oh. Now the other floors seem kind of plain.
They seem a little plain, but it's like as you're getting towards the end of the game, like it's adding more. That's how I looked at it.
Hey, you gotta get warmed up, you know.
Yeah, I like
I think it's funny how it takes itself it's a goofy game, obviously, in the dialogue, but like certain aspects of it, like the music, as people mentioned, like plays it totally straight.
Yeah, that's
And
what
then you
I.
get to and then you get to the ghost floor, and it's just so goofy.
Like, she drew the ghosts, like, just like, hey, like, here's ghosties. You're doing a spooky floor. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, let me see what I can do with these. And I was just like, I'll just make them animate in a real dumb way.
And then you get to the food floor, and it's just like, oh, this is just totally stupid at this point.
That's kind of like
the hunger meter, though.
The hunger meter was Colin's idea. I had a discussion with him. Like, he didn't know what Poly Dungeon was. He knew that I was working on a game, and he knew that I was kind of like sourcing for ideas. And I was just he brought up something about like you should have a burrito that shoots you with its beams. I was like, okay, okay. And then he was just like, have a moss meter, and like that's kind of like a Taco Bell thing. Live moss.
Oh, that.
And I was just like, wait a minute, a hunger meter. I think it's actually called moss meter in like the actual symbol is actually called moss meter. But yeah, like, and that's where like the idea of like the hunger thing came from, and the idea of, oh, I'm gonna actually kill the player by being a real cheap and total dick at the right at the very end. And that meter could actually kill you. You could actually die to hunger, probably until I started working on it for that last week.
So was adding hunger back to the meter ever coded in?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're. I think I actually I had to go back and change a few the results to make sure that they didn't add hunger, and I had to take away you feel slightly less hungry, and it would like give you a blip back on the bar.
Huh. I totally fell for that. I thought I was gonna die.
Everybody did.
I get to the very end, and then I got a turn that was like, it's gonna take longer to complete this floor, and I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. So it was blinking like the max for like 7 turns, and then at that point, I'm realizing it's like on turn 6. I'm like, it's not actually gonna kill you.
Like you just did a bamboozle.
I really like her lullaby sound effect in there too.
Yeah, I had to put that in there. You also get that. You also get that sound if the final boss kills you.
Excellent.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't realize that.
After5 got to
I
find
got that
out.
sound effect.
Yeah. Motherfucker thought he could beat me on my birthday. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I tried my best. You're like what, like 20% left?
Yeah, you actually got pretty far, and then like just got like a bad set of turns. It was just like it's over.
Just like 7, like 10, like 13. I'm just like, oh,
it's over. But yeah, like that game, it felt really good. I'm glad people enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing things. Like the final boss, like when I finally got that up and working, it was just like, oh shit, this is like next level. It feels so good. The final boss
being true RNG feels very true to that game's inspiration.
Yeah, the final boss, like with the final boss, it's actually like you and the final boss have the same numbers on your side. So like you've got an X number of turns that will do damage to the boss, and like the boss has X number of turn effects that can happen. So it's like 50-50 down the middle, but there are also like 30 or 40 wasted turns where it's just like, oh, final boss attempts to cast instant death but failed. I was gonna make one of those instant death but fails like do an actual fake out game over too. I didn't have it in me to keep going.
I want to do Poly Dungeon DX where I add like summon animations.
There you go.
Like a 5-minute thing of like the planets blowing up like Sephiroth does.
Just like randomly throw in like a golden sun summon. Just boom. Why not?
So yeah, that game's great. We love you all for supporting it and having a good time. Most of all, like I said, like all I ever wanted to do was make people laugh, and apparently that happened. So job well done. Nice work.
Hell yeah.
So other than that, played a video game. Brett played one. I played one. We played the same. We played the same. We might have played the same video game.
What's a video game? Wait, no. What video game?
I played one of those little indie, the indie darling of the year. The indie
The
diary.
best indie game of the year so far.
Yeah, I played Celeste. That is a
Ooh.
one of those Maso core platformers, really hard. It's got some excellent movement. Like, it's got a lot of like really cool jump, air dash kind of shit going on. Feels good.
That's a Matt Thorson game. He made the original Jumpers. He made an Untitled Story. He did Towerfall. And I actually really had a good time with the Pico 8 version of Celeste. That came out
I
as,
like the Pico 8 version.
Original version.
I like the Pico 8 version.
So wait,
good.
he did Jumper. Is that the one with Ogmo?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because like, there's actually a super secret room in Celeste that has Ogmo and a couple indie characters in it. So maybe they're all actually his characters, because it's probably like Towerfall characters.
That's actually pretty
Yep,
cool.
that checks out.
I didn't find that. Huh. Weird.
I didn't either, actually. I just heard about it. I saw a picture.
But yeah, it's like, one of those hoppy, jumpy, Maso core platformers. You're gonna die a lot.
Mhm.
It's cool,
You're gonna die a lot.
Oh god, yeah. Like that, and they let you know at the end of the stage how many times you died.
Mm-hmm.
I still
There's even
think,
like a
I still
journal
think,
that says, yeah.
I still think to this day, Super Meat Boy handles player death in the best way by just like, after you finish the level, you see all of your attempts.
Yeah.
Just like all at once, kind of, and like until like only the last one remains. Like, I still think
it's
that's
so beautiful.
That's the best way to handle that. You get like a journal in this game, and it's just like, hey, you died 413 times on stage 4. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for reminding me. But
I think you died 1,000 times, but you did it eventually.
Yeah.
It's really hard, really, really hard.
Polly, you played the easy version.
It's kind of like there are a couple of things that I'll go over that I'll just spoil it and say I don't like this game very much. Here's the thing. I don't think Celeste is a bad game. I'm just not a fan of the gimmicks. Like, it's a game where you've got all of these cool movement options to your character already. You could have just done some really awesome platforming stuff and environmental things, and not gone too far with it. But this game is just like every stage has like 20 to 1,000 fucking gimmicks that, and I don't like any of them. Like, there are a couple that I like. I like the feather.
The only one I know about is because I watched the first 2 chapters on a stream. Is the chapter 2 like void jelly?
Yeah.
That's the best one in the game. It feels so fucking cool.
But yeah, like I don't like most of the platforming gimmicks. So by the time I got to the end of the game, I was just like, man, I don't want to be playing this anymore. It's like, if the gimmicks aren't fun, like if I like again, I'll say, I don't think this is a bad game. It's a fantastic platformer. If you like it, awesome. But it's just when you're dependent on adding new gimmicks all the time. If those gimmicks don't click for you, then it's just like, well, that's like 70% of the experience down the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's real dumb at trying to explain anxiety and self-doubt. This is a game that is absolutely in love with the idea of mental illness, but has no way to explore it. Like, no idea how to explore it at all, other than saying, man, I sure do have a lot of self-doubt and anxiety. Literally every cutscene.
Polly, they literally never actually say the word self-doubt.
Yes, they do.
No way.
Yep.
I don't
remember it very clearly.
think you're right.
I will not play the game again to prove you wrong, but I'm going to continue to say that I'm right.
Well, I'll probably play it soon, and then I can be the arbiter.
There you
Okay.
go. There you go. But yeah, it's just really in love with the idea of mental illness, and the only time the game ever actually handles it, like, from an environmentally narrative standpoint, is literally like the most base of observations of hitting rock bottom and your character being thrown off the mountain. Like, literally, that's the one time they kind of make the narrative feel like it actually means something, but even then it's just kind of like, look, you hit rock bottom. I'm almost surprised somebody didn't actually say, I hit rock bottom from my anxiety and self-doubt. Oh no. Like, it loves the idea of mental health being a thing. And like, Another issue I have with this game is I don't have an issue with the fact that it has an assist mode where you can just make yourself invincible if you want and play through it. Like, they don't fucking care. It's just like, hey, turn it on. You can even get achievements doing it. Not a big deal, right? Like, you want to make games... accessibility in games is fantastic. You know what you shouldn't do? Make the player feel like shit for doing it. Like, some games will we put a pink scarf around Ryu Hayabusa's neck if you play on easy, ha ha ha. Or if you want to play easy in Wolfenstein, haha, you got a pacifier in your mouth, haha. Like, if you're gonna have those options, don't be a fucking insulting dick about it. And, like, one of the things that I've heard people, talk about in relation to this game is, like, oh, how it's just so smart about how it handles this. And, like, it doesn't make you feel like a sack of garbage if you want to turn on assist mode. But you fuckers are lying. It totally does. It's, like, and it's the most, like, stuck up its own ass way of presenting it ever. It's just, like, you go to turn on the assist mode, and, like, a little letter pops up, and it's just like, hi, I'm the creator of the game, and just so you know, I didn't intend the game to be played this way. It's not my vision. If you do this, you can do it if you want, but you should really play through the whole game first, normally. I'm surprised that there wasn't, like, a long sigh at the end of the letter that pops up. Like, for fucking real, get out of my face. Either commit to it or don't. If you want, if you believe in your fucking concept and believe that is the honest vision of the game, then shut the fuck up and don't put in the easy mode. Or how about just shut the fuck up and don't mention it if a player wants to play the easy mode. Like, fuck out of my face with that shit.
I could totally see that being obnoxious.
So
especially, it was really annoying seeing that game specifically get all these points for it. Just because I played Even the Ocean a year ago, and it was so exhaustively nice about including all these different play options, and it was kind of ingrained in the story in a really cool way. So then I was like, well, this isn't the first one to do that. My friend's game.
Okay, but funky mode.
God.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so this is a tale of two players. So I don't like Celeste much at all. I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not a game that I thought did anything at all for me, and just like the weird way that it's trying to handle or present subject matter and the way people are latching onto it like it's like the first indie game, like the best game to, like, I've seen people say this is the best game to ever talk about depression. Like, get the fuck out. You are so out of your mind. Like, this is fucking EA Ubisoft making a game about depression. They just write the words depression. They write the word depression on screen, and that's it.
No, they write the word depression and then point an arrow at it and say, that bad.
That bad. Also you.
That bad.
That bad. Also you. Play now. Microtransactions here. Pay microtransactions to get your Celexa filled.
What are we even talking about?
It's an antidepressant.
Oh.
See what I'm doing there, Rhett? It's a joke. We tell those.
More espresso, less depresso.
So, Rhett also played this game.
It's not my turn. I want to break first, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I want to divorce my comments from yours.
You want to divorce your comments from mine? Yeah. That's right.
She does not speak for me.
He opened with the showstopper. Now looks too afraid to get on stage. Little pussy. There's pussy on my podcast. Look at this shit. Too goddamn afraid to talk about a video game. I can't talk about a video game. My little pussy will hurt. What are we doing?
I think this is a great time to say that I looked over my Twitter again and it's filled with Bowsette again.
Oh, good!
That's mine too, and guess what?
Boom!
Every time I see one that's muscular with teeth now, I just want to at Polly.
There you go. There you go.
Do it.
Just don't go overboard with it.
Of course not. No, Taylor was retweeting all of them anyway, so I think
gotcha.
they got us covered.
All right. So What do we want to do? Do we want to take like 5-minute break and then come back and do the second half of the show?
Yes, because I really have to pee.
All right.
I can't talk about video games when I have to pee.
All right, we'll be back in like 5 minutes or so. So go out, stretch your dick out, and all that fun stuff.
Stand. Ciao.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Who else is back?
I am back.
Yay!
I am here.
Yay!
Literally, like my headphones.
No, it's
Everyone
John.
just waits for Polly.
It's John.
I have an Angry Orchard. Did y'all know that they make ciders that are like alcoholic?
Yeah? Yeah?
And
Pretty
it's
sure I knew that.
I can drink this, and it's when everyone else is drinking beer, because I can't drink beer because of the gluten.
Gives you
But I can drink this and it
butt
looks
problems.
like beer. Yeah, because it gives me, but this doesn't give me butt problems, and it's delicious. And I can drink it, and it won't look weird next to all the beer. Like if I drink wine in a whole group of everyone drinking beer, that looks a little weird. This?
I'm podcasting responsibly. I'm drinking water.
That probably never drinks podcasts.
No. Never.
Got orange juice.
There you go.
Like cider?
He's got orange
All making me
juice.
feel like a degenerate over here.
Not only is he being considerate and professional, he's also being healthy.
There you go.
So how do we want to handle this? Do we want to go back
We should go to me next.
Huh?
We should go to me next.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
What are we going to do? So what are we tackling next? So I need to know. Because Rhett's going to be bopping out for one of these segments.
We're not going to do that one.
Okay, we'll go back to you, and then...
Are we doing 3 segments each?
I don't know.
It's 8 o'clock. Just saying.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say quickly.
We kind of got to be considerate. Rhett's got... Little baby Wet has a bedtime
Aw.
now.
Okay. I was just going to mention the Witcher book.
Uh,
Because I thought Brett might think that was funny.
Bring me
You good?
home some steak. I want steak now.
All right, let's skip that then. Let's just have the one big section.
Okay, we're gonna go to After5 then, and then I guess we'll just jump into the whole Trails journey, and then John will be able to plug in his SC journey into that, and then we can just kind of roll there. So, Rhett,
Okay.
do you want? You can just take your headphones off, and then I'll shoot you a message in chat when we're past anything that might spoil you. All right.
Cool.
All right. So, are we ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, After5,
Hi, Polly.
you have been on quite an incredible journey this summer. If I might say so myself, you've packed quite a big chunk of gaming into your head. And I don't know fucking how you did it, but it's nearly all back to back. I think we need to start kind of talking a bit about kind of the highlight of Falcom Frenzy, I think, that has been so far. I want to hear about your Trails journey. And we're going to try to be as spoiler-free as possible, but understand that we're going to have to play it by ear, and there might be some stuff that has to come out in order for us to be able to give context. So...
Yeah. All
we'll
right.
be as careful as we can. We'll be as careful as we can.
Yeah, I'll try to avoid details. But I frankly, I don't really know how I did it either.
Yeah, like this is fucking
It's a lot of trails.
5 games. Like you started this in May, I want to say.
I think in my collections, the collection timestamp is actually July. I don't know if that was July for the last video or July for the first video. I want to say for the first video, because it would be July. It took me 31 days to get through Sky. And then I had like a brief pause of like 2 weeks, and then we went for Cold Steel.
I don't even think it was 2 weeks, dog. I literally think it was like 5 days.
It may have been. It may have just been a week. Honestly, now that you mention it, I think it was probably not that long at all. Quite frankly, I'm still kind of like in the Trails high zone right now. Like. The only music that I listen to going to and from work at home when I'm not listening to streams is Trails game music.
Lord.
Like the only video game that processes through my brain right now is like trying to think about when I'm gonna replay all the Trails games. Um, and like I kind of just been sitting here deliberating things. Like I know I brought up the topic before, like in one of my streams before, of which set of characters do we like more? Sky's general main cast, and I don't mean only playable, or Cold Steel's general main cast. And like that's still kind of just a question that I've been pondering, because I feel like, whenever I kind of formulate an opinion, I will speak like what's on my mind at the moment, but it's never like a said and done, finalized print. Like that's
it.
That's
Ironclad.
Oh yeah, I say shit on Twitter all the time where I say it, and then in the process of saying it, I'm like, maybe not actually.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of get that. Like sometimes just by writing it, like that alone just changes, like, what you actually think. So like I'm actually currently of the opinion that I don't know if I'd say Cold Steel's cast is better. I mean, it's hard to say, like, what do you even mean by better, right? Like that's like the starting point for me. Like you don't just say like, oh, this cast of characters is better. It's just like
it's such a subjective thing.
Yeah, like that. I think yesterday I kind of came to the conclusion of like, which set of characters do I feel like, I guess maybe this is kind of a weird perspective, but like which set of characters do I feel like I can like mesh with, like my kind of just like general line of thinking in terms of like their general line of thinking. I do think it is the Cold Steel cast ultimately.
Cool.
I think there is some sort of I don't know if this is something I need to be particularly careful about. But just the main playable cast, I feel like has more sort of like spirit. Sort of like they kind of act as one group more than, in my opinion, Sky's cast does.
Yeah, Sky's cast is kind of a revolving door a lot of the time. Whereas Cold Steel, like, it's class 7. Like, you are, a unit.
Yeah, like, you see all your characters, like, very quickly. At least, yeah,
whereas
let's keep it there. Let's
one
keep it there.
at a time, basically.
Yeah. And, like, it kind of just, like, because... And like the games kind of progress is more like how does our group get along, as opposed to like who do you meet along the way kind of base structure and format. So I think there's that sort of like homey feel with that too.
Yeah.
Where it's just like I've kind of been with these characters literally from like the tutorial level, and I'm just like, all right, I guess I feel pretty attached. Like I know people will go in and scrutinize and say certain characters are, stronger or better written than others, but I think, Polly already knows my opinion on just general design formula, in the sense that if everybody stands out, then nobody stands out. Like, you can't have everyone trying to be the most important character, like even at separate moments of time in the game, in my opinion. If everyone's trying to step up to the exact same plate, then like you just don't have character variety. And quite frankly, just when you think about this kind of like how I kind of logic it out a bit too. But when you think about just like, let's say you have just a classroom of 30 people, like not necessarily like students, but just 30 people, right? Out of that 30 people, you're going to have, your social group, conflicts with that social group. And you have people who just keep to themselves. And, like, for some reason, those characters that tend to keep to themselves tend to be seen as weak characters in RPGs, even though I guess perhaps maybe reading into it a bit too much. But I feel like people who tend to play a lot of video games and interact a lot on the internet are kind of exactly that type.
Yeah.
Like, I would say I'm definitely the kind of person who just kind of sits into the recess of the group, and I'm kind of just, I kind of sometimes just see myself as a +1, like not like literally, but like, I'm there, and like if people want to talk to me and like they know that I'm there, but like, I just feel like, sometimes when people like look at a character and sometimes I feel like they just go through it and kind of count like how many lines of dialogue did they have, and like did they like just have an arc and like vanish? And when a character has an arc and then vanishes, it's not necessarily like, you know, their existence like stops mattering. Like some games are capable of making that character stay relevant in just little small ways. They don't need to have, you know, a consistent recycling of a character arc in order to maintain their relevance. Their relevance was kind of, you know, kind of tacked on the board ever since that arc. And, you know, some games will write poorly in the sense that, like, you know, the character might kind of go back to what they were like before that arc and like never come back, or, you know, like just literally actually just make them never make an appearance ever again.
Yep, that's a common one.
That's a common one. But like, quite frankly, I don't think, you know, Trails in general ever really does that with any of its characters. This is also perhaps a bit of a harsh judgment, but it's kind of up to you as the player to sort of kind of keep track of the characters, because it's not like there's too many. It's not like we're playing Chrono Cross.
That's what I was thinking about that.
And it's not like
now I'm thinking about games with bad characters.
It's not like they're written in a spontaneous or unpredictable way. They're kind of established in a fairly, I guess, formulaic. It's not like literally formulaic, but like I don't forget about their character arcs, and I feel like a lot of times when people kind of just speak poorly about certain aspects of games in general, is I feel like they aren't necessarily remembering that aspect of the game quite as well as other people. Prime example, which I'm going to try and talk very vaguely about. The ending of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is something that's been like debated like a billion times, and I've like kind of had to go over with people a lot of times. And ultimately,
you're safe here. Don't worry. You have nobody but Xenoblade like super fans here, so you can be completely safe. Safe space for that.
Okay.
I was making a joke. Continue.
John's jokes are terrible, so don't worry.
Well, generally what it boils down to is people say that they don't like the ending because X reason or X thing should have happened. And then I'm like, but have you considered this thing that happened like just a moment before the point of focus that you're trying to focus on? And like whenever I kind of point that out, they're just like, I guess that does make sense. Like they don't necessarily like convert. And I'm not trying to like convert people's opinions. It's never like my goal with a discussion. I don't like the concept of winning an argument. But the point is like, if we're going to reach different conclusions, I want it to be from the same starting point, not different starting points reaching different conclusions. Because quite frankly, if you're not looking at the same set, I would find it actually surprising if you reach the same conclusion that someone else would if you were to look at a different set of, you know, like information or list of facts and kind of pull a different conclusion.
When people get outside of the text to make their kind of sweeping judgments, and then you realize they're not even looking at the same story. It's like Polly's frustrations with the zero.
Yeah, with Zero Escape,
the Zero Time Dilemma.
Yeah, with Zero Time Dilemma and Danganronpa V3, it has this very similar problem where the game is like showing you things all the time. Things that you're to be considering when the games make their final statement, but all they're paying attention to is the final statement. And they're not looking at this context that was given before as saying, hey, this, and this are important, and this is why this happened this way. And people just kind of conveniently overlook that, either for the sake of wanting to win an argument, which is, you know, a malicious way of trying to approach discourse, or they just don't notice it. So I feel that that's kind of like a similar thing, and I think that it's good that like the Trails series doesn't really have to fall into like this kind of basket. Like I think that they're very good at contextualizing their characters and their stories in ways that it's kind of hard to look at them and really kind of give definitive answers like best cast or something. Like again, I think it's subjective because both games have emotional cores that have to be considered, and like
Yeah.
say like the like the themes and the themes and lessons that Trails in the Sky is trying to present are vastly different than things Cold Steel is trying to present, and the way the characters interact with one another, it's all a very different thing. So
Yeah.
it's subjective. Like, there is no best cast. It's honestly just down to personal preference, really.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and like that also is something that I kind of just feel is overlooked in video game discussion in general. Like I I feel like a lot of people tend to ignore what a game is trying to do or wants to do, and they kind of I know this might just be talking all high and mighty, just because I sort of have a background in
Talking
game
high and
art
mighty.
design and writing and whatever. But like I feel like a lot of people will give like a game a score or a rating based on like, oh, whether or not I liked it or it did like what I wanted to do. And obviously there is a personal enjoyment rating, right? Like you with Celeste, right, Polly? Like you don't think it's a bad video game, but there are some things that it just does, well, rather doesn't do for you,
Right.
like at all personally. But like you don't hold those things against it as like a general video game experience for other people, and you don't necessarily trying to shove that opinion down people's throats. And like I feel like sometimes when I'm talking about Trails in particular, just because it's been something that's been more discussed, that I kind of talk about with people more and more, um I feel like people are just too focused on like what they wanted out of the game, and like that's fine, but a game like the taking a look at a game is not only about what you wanted but also what the developers wanted, in my opinion. Because just because I have wanted to make video games in my own time, it's a lot about people are putting their passion and their ideas out into a form that they think works for them.
Mm-hmm.
And just as professionals, they do their best to make it cater to a wider audience, or just make it done in a way that's not just only for them, and it's for other people as well. And
Not necessarily.
not always.
Sometimes you just
always.
make a game for yourself, and
Yeah. But I mean, I guess
couple
I'm
people play it.
focusing kind of more so on like the AAA market, where like
Mhm.
it's literally made for profit. Like not
Yeah.
every video game ever made under the sun falls in the category of like trying to make other people. It's not necessarily always for other people. Um,
Sometimes make it for yourself, and if people don't like it, it's because they're stupid.
well then.
I mean, it's
but
basically how we
I
feel
get where
about
you're
Trails
coming
anyway.
from. I just do feel like that side of the coin kind of gets ignored. Like there's the like what you want out of it, and then there's the what the developers wanted out of it. Kind of like two sides to the same coin. And I feel like a really good discussion on video games really has to cover both, especially if the game is something that is capable of covering both, in which case Trails is very highly capable of doing that. It's like Falcom, the number one thing I've enjoyed about the Trails games is just how deliberate and intentional and like I guess passionate even, just like all of their design is. Like gameplay design, character writing, keep maintaining the integrity of their story while adding, enough, changes, points of excitement, and at the same time being just a very functional RPG in general. Well, all of them, not just singular RPG.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. There's something of course, this still probably just boils down to personal taste, even though I will always, I don't know about always and forever, but for the time being, I will be that guy who trumpets that Trails games are the best RPGs that have been created. And obviously that's a very, very biased statement, because clearly I've never played every single RPG that's ever been made.
Mm-hmm.
But just when I see how high Falcom's Trails games are above like the rest of the games that I thought were the best games I've ever played, like it's kind of just hard to consider that there are other games out there that I feel literally hit every department of an RPG with as much finesse and perfection that Trails does.
Right.
I don't know. There's just something really, really special about those games, and
I think it's just that they feel very pure.
I think that's a good word for
They're
it.
pure and genuine. Like, I don't feel like everything that I've played in a Trails game, I feel like comes from somebody's personal experience. A lot of what those games are doing, especially when you get into some of the crazier things in Trails in the Sky the Third, a lot. That's like, I look at a lot of that stuff and it's just like, that can't have been plucked from the ether. Somebody was feeling like this. Somebody at some point in their life either knew somebody feeling like this or they felt like this, and they had to put this in there. And I don't get that a lot with many other games that I've played.
Yeah, that's actually, honestly, that is a very good point, because it's hard to keep latching back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because it is one of my other favorites. But like when I look at the character cast and like compare them, there is just sort of, in my opinion, like like a level gap between the purity and just like the I think the word I used in my pacement was organic. Like, these people actually feel like people, and
yes.
I know that sounds kind of weird to say because everyone knows it's a video game, right? And we all know that these are scripted characters and that they are written by some person or group of peoples, and and they're just in this digital context, and they're not actual people, but they feel like people. Like, and I think just the general writing, just how they pace their writing, and they have fabulous timing with like the right thing to say at like the exact right time, and it's not just like the big things, it's the little things,
just the incidental things that you can come across, especially in Trails games. The incidental things are just like Estelle's interactions with people are like somebody like, I think more writers and localizers need to just observe Estelle and look at what they did with her. Like, that is, one, she has an incredible character arc, and two, the way she is written is so damn good. She's such a genuine person, but he's still like, and it's like, flaws don't define her, but she's also not like the person that's going to be the sole savior of the world like you would find in like an anime inspired JRPG. She's like a person that like I feel I could probably feasibly meet someone like in real life.
Yeah. I think the Trails games, I played first and second chapter of Trails in the Sky. I haven't played Cold Steel yet, or the third. I think they cut to the human realities that are underneath these kind of JRPG tropes and archetypes.
Yes.
And they make it real people. I think one of the main villains throughout both games, who has a big arc and moments in both games, is one big example when he has a big conversation with one of the lead characters near the end of the second game, and you suddenly are like, oh, you don't understand where he's coming from. He seems like this up his own ass JRPG guy for villain guy for most of the game.
Test humanity.
And then you get to the actual human reality that's underneath that, and it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I think that counts for so much.
Yeah, I think, okay, so in my opinion, pretty much character, like my general take on character writing is that all characters need to be based on some form of familiarity. You can't just like throw like the deepest possible lore at people just right at the get-go or kind of thing. Kind of just like how you don't tell your secrets and all your personal things to random people you meet. You start from familiarity. You start, from the basics. But
like the Mass Effect, like where they go into monologue mode, where they just like zoom in on the person and they're like, I'm going to tell you my life story now for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Just like, this is not the time or place for it.
Yeah, this is organic.
But like, there are most RPGs I feel don't really kind of go beyond the zone of familiarity, and like that's where kind of characters, in my opinion, fall off. And it's not it's not like there's like a deadline for them to like improve because
Mm.
I think Polly knows about a particular character in Trails in the Sky who rubbed my buttons the wrong
Woo,
way
boy.
for like forever and a half.
Yeah.
But when I got his justification, it was so justified that like I turned a complete 180.
Yeah.
And I was glad, and like I think I was saying a lot that like I not only was I expecting it, but I feel like if Falcom didn't do that for that character, that like that would just be a poorly written character at that point.
Yeah,
you just can't have a character with that kind of thing going for him just go completely unresolved.
Yeah, yeah, and they don't hit that
like
until
some games do that,
and they don't hit that until second chapter.
Anything.
They don't hit that until SC too. So you were waiting quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, at least I wasn't.
Are you talking about a Sky character or a Cold Steel character?
A Sky character.
A Sky.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about. I love them.
He's such a good boy.
I love him a lot. Yes. Okay, continue.
Yeah, but like, minor loss of train of thought.
It's okay. It happens.
That happens
No,
when I
it's
jump
fine.
in front of jump into
There's
whatever
so
you're
much
saying.
to think about when it comes to Trails in general. But I think
the thing with the big thing with Trails is that they go to absurd lengths to earn every big moment that they're after.
Yes, oh my God, they do.
Earning the big moments. Like, this is a game...
To the extent of having all the first chapter be like them chilling around, running around. Let's do racer things. Let's help. And they solve like these little intimate, this one mayor's a bad dude. Let's fix this one town's one issue.
Let's go fix the water pump at a hot spring.
Let's go fix the orbital lamps.
Like,
it's so intimate and it's human and it's grounded.
It's so very not like the thing I love about Trails in the Sky is that it is a game where it is an RPG that's happening while the big RPG is happening elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and eventually you just kind of naturally get pulled toward it so that when your main characters end up in this big, larger than life situation, it makes so much sense that they're there because they earned the right to be there.
Yep.
Yeah, because they kind of go through the whole trial by fire kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm really happy first chapter is the way it is, basically.
Yeah. First chapter needs to be first chapter. Like, when, like, what was it? That they said that Cold Steel 4 is like the 60% mark of the Trails.
Yeah.
So when you're 7 games deep and you're talking about 60% and you're gonna like, because some people crap talk that FC is like too slow, nothing happens or whatever. Like, come on, like seriously, we're talking like probably a minimum of 500 hours of RPG, and you think that like a 40-hour to whatever how many you want to take on it exposition for like literally one of the best stories and character casts ever is too long? Like
come on.
I need a little bit of context here.
It's not even straight exposition because I think a
it's
big
not even
strong point of Trails in the Sky and Trails probably in general is that it's very good at subdividing its big story into a bunch of little stories.
Yes.
Like each chapter in Trails in the Sky first chapter is its own little story, and it tends to resolve questions much more aggressively than other games. Like you find out what's up with your dad at the end of the first chapter, and I was like, oh, I thought that was going to be a lingering question for the whole game, but then they push forward. They have these little arcs that end in big, satisfying little chapter climaxes. That continues through all of the first and second games, and it means that it's constantly engaging you in resolving questions that it asks. So it's not just adding more and more things like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and we resolve it later.
Yeah,
it's telling you a bunch of stories.
Is that Trails is very excited to be telling its story, but it also knows how to keep its dick in its pants. Like it knows a level of restraint that I don't think like many games in this genre do. And I think that it makes those big moments pop even more when they don't go full barrel with it. like if we can start kind of touching on John's second chapter experience, there's a moment.
Yes.
There's a big moment in second chapter, and it's a moment that you've been working for the entire game, and you think they're gonna like hold it off until the end, and they give it to you just smack dab in the middle, and it doesn't play out in the way you think it's going to at all because of how you see these kinds of things play out in other RPGs and anime and movies. And there's such like the restraint that it would take to write that scene, knowing like what these characters have been through, like the emotional state that they're in, to be able to write that scene the way that they wrote it, it's fucking masterful.
I literally, looking at that scene, just like, oh, this is how I would want to write.
Yeah.
Just in general, this is
like basically when I play Trails games, I'm like, I wish I could write this good, but like that's basically the whole thing. I kind of was mostly playing devil's advocate on that because, frankly, if you think that a Trails game is only exposition, then you're not reading between the lines. It's not even reading between the lines. You're
it's
just
so
not
restrained. It's more too. Like it does not drop like the. I remember starting Ruby the very first time, the Red Rooster Teeth cartoon, and the first like 3 minutes are lecturing about the history of the world, and I turned it off, and I was like, oh man,
like I don't need that.
This is gonna be rough.
It's like show don't tell,
rough, isn't it?
Show don't tell, and that is
it's
exactly
never doing that in Trails.
Yeah.
Yup. And just like God, I can't tell you how many times like I am anticipating a big moment to happen, and like because I get stuck up in the heat of a different moment, that big moment just hits me, and I'm just like I'm still not ready for it.
Yeah.
And like they do it in a way I'm just like that's not the way I expected them to like actually do it, and it's not just like I didn't expect them to do it just for the sake of being like, oh, plot twist. It's just more like that is actually the best way to play it out. And they actually considered, likely in my opinion, the best possible scenarios in which this sort of event could take place, the build-up that needs to happen to it, how we can distract the player from thinking about it too much, and then just drop it on them like a whole heavy hot sauce pile, just like Cold Steel 2, Polly.
Oh my god, yeah.
Cold Steel 2. When I got dropped on Cold Steel 2, like
dude had to leave the room.
I left the fucking room for Cold Steel 2. Like I don't leave the room for video games.
He took his fucking headphones off, or if he was wearing them. I just remember him standing up and walking out of the fucking room when that game started dropping the bombs on him.
And like I remember because we made a hard lock on that call, Polly.
Yeah.
We made a hard lock on it, and like it doesn't matter how many hours of like thinking about that's gonna happen. It didn't matter because when it happened, I just still got completely and utterly
because they
wrecked.
still went about doing it in a way that you didn't expect too. It's so good.
And like I love it so much because like it's just one of those one of the hardest ways in my opinion to like throw out your plot where like you kind of can sort of guess where everything is sort of going, right? Like they're kind of dangling the bait over the fishing line over your head, right?
Yeah.
But like when you actually grab that bait, it's like not a bait at all. Like it's something else completely. And just like it's I don't know. I love it. I don't have any other words for it other than just to say I love it. It's amazing, and I feel like even if I roll through the games again, it'd probably just hit me like a ton of bricks again.
Hit you like a ton of bricks, get you crying on stream.
Yeah.
Some more.
Freaking God. But
this boy got wrecked. I
got so wrecked. Like
just the first 10 minutes of SC, boy was crying.
Ooh!
Yes. Woohoo! Yeah, I got ooh.
The first 10 minutes of that game hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, and that to me is like also like that's how you start off a sequel, right? Like that's how you get people to have both local and long-term incentive to continue playing your game. Because like regardless of like the independent and the small loops that connect to the bigger loop of the Trails I don't even know what to call it at this point.
Just the saga, of course.
The saga, yeah. Like, there's just so much motivation. Momentum is kind of the word that I like to use when describing Trails, is that I feel like at no point in time do they drop completely the game's momentum. Like, even when you're in like an intermission sort of section where like nothing actually is particularly happening on in the present, but that moment of peace was earned by what just happened, like genuinely earned.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of like a calm before the storm moment. Like, you know what's coming up. Like, you know that there's something about to happen. Absolutely. Like, it's not just like, oh, chapter 1, prologue, start, conflict, resolution, epilogue, chapter 2, prologue. You know, it doesn't just roll through the punches. It continuously adds layers of momentum. Another way to put it is it never forgets about what it's doing. Like, that's, and like when you talk about currently 7, probably eventually like 12.
Yeah, it's gonna be
12,
stupid.
7 game, like currently 7 game series. It doesn't forget about itself at like any point in time. Like, that's, I don't think I've seen any RPG writers or whatever like write 300 plus hours of RPG like coherently, cohesively, connectively, organically.
Yeah.
And all of that. Like, it's impressive.
It's good writing.
Yeah.
It's just lots and lots of real good writing. It earns all its big beats. It makes its characters into actual people. When it has big plot twists, it exhaustively explores the consequences of those plot twists.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So that's what makes those actually land. Whereas like I played the first 5 hours of Xenogears before I played Trails in the Sky. And like an hour into that game, your main character's village gets burned to the ground by the robot that you're piloting, and you don't know how to control it, and it's so big and scary. But also you haven't had the time to get to really know those people. And then once the village is dead, you're also not really thinking about it that much afterwards.
Yeah.
You just kind of go to the next section of the plot. And I'm sure there's a lot of good material in Xenogears, but like I think that's a good kind of case study in like the differences in approach with a lot of PS1 RPGs, which are very loud and throwing a bunch of different twists at you to kind of keep you like oh, this is how we keep players engaged, is that we throw new information at them. That's how we do it. Whereas Trails is extremely disciplined and builds to all of its big moments and explores the consequences of those big moments.
Yeah.
And as a result, it all sticks with you a whole lot more.
Yeah, and that's that's a pattern you see not only just in Trails in the Sky, but like Cold Steel is very, very exhaustive about that. Like, like Cold Steel, even more so, is a series where much bigger things are happening because the issues in Erebonia are much more widespread, and they are much more connected to just the very core foundation of what Erebonia stands for. So when the big things happen, like, it really is like a big fucking deal, and they are very sure to impress that upon the player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
without it having to be, and then the whole universe is going to get destroyed if you don't beat the boss, and it's going to eat everything and turn the universe into void.
Yeah, if you're coming to RPGs for that, the Trails series isn't for you.
Yeah, I think like that's another form of praise that I give to them. It's not, Trails is not an RPG about good versus evil. It's simply conflicting interests and point of view. Like that's all it is. In my opinion, that makes it far more interesting. And like I think another thing that goes in favor of Trails is that like it takes a lot of time to establish its own like form of not only just politics, but like it takes its world like very seriously.
Yes.
And it establishes the world in a way that's just like I don't know how they do it. Like, not only do they write like amazing characters, but they make their world just like so like you are just like amongst that world as the player. Like it's not even about immersion.
No,
it's
not.
You are included. It's not immersion. You are included.
Yeah, like that's something that it's just, you know, with like Trails in the Sky, it's like very much more backwoodsy kind of like, you know, everybody knows your name kind of place, and like you move to Erebonia where it's like aristocracy and like high society, but there's still that same feeling of inclusiveness because you have like the class that you've been given of class 7, which is a class made of commoners and nobles, and they have to function as one. And I think that like those two like games, the way they present their worlds, they're of a very similar discipline, but they're not telling the same story in a different world. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I get where you're coming from.
That's the big lesson I think I kind of want to take away from it. Is like when you're telling this big story, you do need to break it up.
Yeah.
Into these like the fact that Trails in the Sky as a whole is a way different story than Trails of Cold Steel is very important. Yes. The fact that each Trails game itself has its own big arcs is very important. The fact that each of those arcs is broken down into these chapters and that there's these NPCs with their own little stories. The fucking Duke having an arc.
Yeah! Duke Dunan having a fucking arc!
Wild! He is more well-defined than over half of the Final Fantasy VIII cast.
Yep!
Like, player cast.
Oh,
that's
you just said
wild.
Final Fantasy VIII.
So...
Like that...
I know that we like I know we're having a great time and I'm not trying to rush anybody, but let's got a Betty time. But just to kind of like to start kind of putting a bow on this, since like I know John just finished Trails in the Sky SC. Like, is there anything else that you would kind of want to bring up about that game that kind of like stands out to you, or that you want to kind of like put out there to kind of like tell people about, before we start winding down the segment?
Just that it really impressed on me the value of that kind of discipline, and just how much that counts, and just having characters that are based in real things and are consistent and have clear psychologies that you can understand. And that's true. Every one of the characters, even shithead characters, like kind of the main villain, where he's simple and a shithead, but you understand it, and it's human, and that counts for so much. And I think that it's most comparable with games like probably Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, where the characters are very clearly defined and the conflict is very straightforward. But then Trails has this extra element of allowing itself to be paced like kind of more epic fiction, where Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger are very economical. Trails is going out of its way to spend more time with the characters and is a little more serialized.
Yeah, like
and benefits and takes maximum advantage of the extra hours it demands from you as a player.
Yeah, like let's say a character in Final Fantasy VI was a bracer. Like if they said that they were a bracer, we would never like actually be interacting with that portion of that character. Like, that would just be their thing. Whereas Estelle being a bracer is her identity. It's something she values. It's something that even when things are bad, she prioritizes that because of her intense desire to follow in her father's footsteps, to protect people. And like, I've always, like, that's something I just greatly admire about, like, what Trails does with its characters versus what other RPGs might with theirs.
And that was really cool for me, because like I can think of a lot of RPGs that have that more economical approach, like Chrono Trigger or whatnot, but I can't think of a lot of the ones that share that level of storytelling discipline, but expanding it to this way more epic scope of being, an 80 to 90 hour experience like Trails and Trails SC to get put together. And the fact that it carries that through both games and delivers completely with all of its characters is very impressive and cool to me.
And I think, and After5 can back me up here, like, Trails the Third, it's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Yeah, the fact that there's a whole extra game that's just kind of the epilogue is perfect, because it's like they have this whole game building up to the big explosive JRPG, basically, and then it's perfect. Makes perfect sense to me to have another game that is kind of unwinding and getting way more intimate and character focused after the big explosive stuff in SC.
Trails
and that
third
is exactly what I would love.
Trails third is what made me fully realize that Falcom loves their characters in a way that like other games simply do not. Like they go out of their way, not just in terms of giving characters a happy ending. That's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they care that like they love their characters in that they want you to know what direction these characters are headed. Or like intimate details that maybe they couldn't hit in the main game. So you're going to get a lot of really cool shit. And I'm going to say, like, do all the side shit in third. John.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Like,
yep. I probably gave me the same instruction. I followed the instruction. I'm just like, yep.
And
that is, like, actually the most mandatory optional content I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's not hard to find. It's not hard to do. It's all pretty easy. You just find a door and go in once you've fulfilled a requirement. Cool. That's it.
Cool.
I'm
very excited to play it.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wind the segment down. Like, I would talk about Trails for fucking 5 hours if you let me. But unfortunately, we do have to kind of be considerate of Rhett here. So before we wind the segment down, After5, is there any kind of final thoughts that you would like to kind of impress upon us before I pull Rhett back in?
Honestly, nothing in particular without me just going into like another entire tangent of stuff. So I'm just looking forward to what they're going to be doing next. Like I think it's been a really, really long time since I've just been straight up anticipating, like, I must know more.
Yeah.
And I'm just in that state. And I so want to play all the games all over again.
Yeah, like, because there's things, especially in relation to Cold Steel, where like lots of area names are getting dropped, and characters from another series that's not been localized yet are being dropped. So that's all that kind of fun stuff. Is like, we want and need more, please. We love you, Xseed, by the way.
Yeah, literally.
One other thought. One other kind of storytelling observation is just like, you get so much out of not trying to be clever or not trying to trick people and not trying to impress your audience.
This is not a series that's trying to impress you at every fucking moment.
It's just completely, it feels very honest, and I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of want to cover if we are going to be jumping in a little bit into Persona 5 soon-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll kind of segue into that. Not segue, but I'll kind of like tack that on.
Yeah, we'll hit that.
There.
Yeah. We'll hit that.
Persona is probably like the closest I can think of to an RPG of that scope, sort of meeting that level of character intimacy. And obviously those games have all their own little things, but that comes to my brain. All right, cool.
All right, so do we have a Rhett?
Hey.
Yay!
Hey, Rhett. Hey. We're done.
Hello.
Sorry about
finally.
Yeah,
sorry. Never going to talk about it again. I think we're basically finished with Trails.
I think we said everything that you could possibly say about the entire series.
You see, I really, really hated SC, and I kind of talked to them about it, and after a little while, they basically agreed, like, wow, the series is garbage.
Yeah, we kind of just... you kind of missed a monumental moment.
I just couldn't stop crying because it was such a disappointment.
I know.
So, Rhett, now that we got you back, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
How much
going good?
How much porn were you looking at while?
How much Bowsette?
Bowsette. Okay, how much Bowsette?
God.
I did just refresh Tumblr, and it's a lot.
Much like VR.
I opened up Twitter, and it's someone yelling at us to stop being so horny. And I'm like, never.
I literally dropped into a Discord to say, like, help save me from all the Bowsette, and lo and behold, there was just a fucking Bowsette emote in Discord sitting there. Literally, Bowsette, and I'm just like, fuck you.
Wow.
So, other than Balset, how's it going, Rat? What,
going good.
What else you bringing to the table tonight?
It's weird because I have no idea what the last hour of the podcast just was. Bitching about trails, I presume.
Probably.
Bitching, we hated it.
I played a game.
Uh-huh.
It's a platformer.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if we've talked about it on this podcast before. It's called Celeste.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, never.
What's that?
Wait, isn't that the one with the rings? You grab rings?
No, this is the one with the strawberries. It's kind of like Super Meat Boy.
Basically Super Meat Boy.
Yeah.
What, like the vegetarian edition? Because it's
Yes.
strawberries.
Yeah.
As opposed to Band-Aids? Or Band-Aids vegetarian? Oh, because it's Meat Boy in the title.
Oh,
I
there
thought
you
it was so
go.
clever for a second
Bandage
there.
Girl.
Okay. continue.
Okay. I played the first level of Celeste like a month before Polly got to it, and I was like, this game seems extremely good. I will get to it later, because I was also playing Donkey Kong, and I didn't want to play two super hard platformers like back to back, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And then Polly played Celeste before I got around to it, and did not like it. And I was very, very shocked by that. So I basically immediately played it out of spite.
He fucking spite played this. He fucking John Thired me.
But I also had played a little bit of it. It was like, no, I think Polly's wrong on this one. I think this game is extremely good. So then I played through the second level, and I was like, yes, this game is actually extremely special and wonderful and very good, and Polly's wrong about this one.
Like that
like-
never happens.
It happened.
No.
It has happened for once.
Never happens. Never happens.
I mean, people doesn't like good stuff. Come on.
So like what I like about this game is that it becomes more than the sum of its parts for me. Where like the second level does such a good job integrating the music and the story into what's happening. So like it uses a lot of like repeated themes and leitmotifs and stuff. So like level 2 opens with this big empty area that you have to explore a bit, and then you kind of find the thing that activates those like the jelly warps that John mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
which are like the most fun gimmick in the game. So the music kind of picks up, gets a drum beat, and then you have like a boss encounter basically, and you're being chased for a while. So like the music keeps ramping up in intensity, and then you reach the end, and the character's like, "Oh wait, this is a nightmare. I'm dreaming, aren't I?" And then it kind of shatters and goes into this very peaceful soliloquy version where it's like kind of winding down. It's just like the way the music kind of rises and falls is with the tension of the action, and I think the soundtrack in this game is like extremely good.
Oh, the soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah, soundtrack is amazing.
And every single level doesn't end with you fighting the same boss. So that helps.
No, yeah, like even when that character comes back, like it's a totally different gameplay reason for them
Yeah.
to come back there. Like they don't I mean, so each level does have pretty defined gimmicks, but I disagree with Polly that they're throwing like 20 million at you. Like in the first and second levels, it's literally one thing each.
That's basically a million.
Yeah, just 1 million each. Like you're just one word off, really.
It's 1 million times. Like the first level has like these mechanical things that kind of like a mechanical thing on a track, so it kind of swings out, and if you jump off of it, it'll keep your momentum. So like a lot of the platforming is like very momentum driven, where if you jump at certain times on moving platforms, like it'll kind of fling you forward. And it's actually extremely generous with the timing, where like if something stops on a dime,
Yeah,
and
you can
jump like
still
a couple frames later,
Yeah, you
it'll
can
still
still
carry
get
your
it.
momentum. Like, so like what I like about it compared to Meat Boy is that Meat Boy had such like
It was strict.
insane precision
Yeah.
with its fidelity, where like you never do the same jump in Meat Boy twice, basically,
No.
because like every frame's data is like so perfectly calculated how you hold the jump, how you hold the D-pad, whereas Celeste is a little tighter, so it's much more repeatable, and you have to be repeatable for the very hard levels that come later.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also like it's not like kind of my games like Hunters has no momentum whatsoever, whereas this still has like kind of things where like, oh, if you jump at this certain time, like you'll carry your momentum. And there's like one level gimmick has like pinball bumpers, so like which angle you hit it at But even then, it's like
It's very generous. Like, you can
Yeah, there's
eyeball it and be totally fine.
Mhm. Like, it's not like every single pixel will send you in a different direction. It's like, oh, there's like 8 kind of general hitboxes.
Yeah.
So again, you can be repeatable. Like, it's very forgiving in certain aspects like that. I will say that like levels 4 and 6, I thought were kind of more scattershot with the gimmicks. They didn't all kind of work with the level theme.
Mm-hmm.
Like 4 is like you got those weird floating water balls that shoot you forward, and then you have the clouds, which fit the theme, and then the wind, which kind of is its own thing.
Yeah.
So like that level's a little more scattershot, and then but this level 6 is like you have these swamps that grumble when you hit dash into them, and then they'll kind of slam out.
Yeah.
And then you have the feather, which is like a
The
totally
feather
own
is
thing.
awesome. The feather's awesome.
It's hilarious that the feather was one that kind of drove me nuts because it has nothing to do with the rest of the platforming.
Not at
Where
all.
The feather is just you turn into a beam of light for like 5 seconds.
And you just fly around.
Yeah. So it's very disconnected from everything. And like, I watched a task of this game and they were like, oh yeah, the feather kind of sucks because we had to program in the task movements like analog instead of just digital.
And that's not easy. That's a lot more variables.
Because, you have a full 360 degrees of movement now, whereas everything else in the game is, very digital. This one's benefits from having an analog pad. And then the last level is just kind of a repeat of all the previous level gimmicks.
I really appreciate that they have at least like some kind of recapitulation of all that. Because when you just introduce a bunch of...
I hated the summit! My god!
When you just introduce a bunch of different level gimmicks and then they never come back, it always feels a little bit sloppy to me. And that's kind of a Mario thing, especially.
But here's the thing. There's absolutely a story reason that they do it, which I loved.
Excellent.
And then the last like 20 minutes, like the top of the summit is just spikes and air dashing.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's kind of like that last level in
It's exactly kind of what I wanted.
Yeah. But I don't think that could have carried the entire game.
Maybe
like,
not, but I think this game's way longer than it needs to be anyway.
Which I also disagree with, but
I don't think the stages need to be as long as they are. I think some of the chase sequences go on for maybe 10 screens too long.
Hilariously, the one that I thought was too long, you said you liked.
Yeah, I like that
Stage
one.
6.
Yeah,
that was funny. The
like
one time I'm like, this is going on way too fucking long. Paulie's like, no, I like that one. I'm like, what the hell?
We are literally at complete odds over this game.
Yeah.
I like the feather. I don't like it. I like stage.
I don't.
Chase. I don't like it.
The thing is that this game has kind of the standard path through each level. And then you can find a cassette that unlocks the B-side, which is kind of like the dark levels in Super Meat Boy. So my path through this game was I played level 1, and then I played level 1's B-side, and then I played level 2, and I played level 2's B-side. So when I got to the feather, I was like, oh my god, they can be so fucking evil with this, depending on how much precision they expect you to have with it, which luckily isn't as bad as I thought it could have been. But, so the other thing is that, like, I don't want to sound like, there's no way to say this without being like, oh, Paulie, get good. But like, the number of times you die in a level is obviously going to radically extend how long that level takes you to beat,
Well, obviously.
Yeah, so when you were like, oh, I died like 500 times on levels 4 and 5, and I'm looking at my stats like, oh, I didn't even hit 200 on those. Like, so what I'm saying is that, like, obviously those levels were too long for you because they probably took like twice as long, How
about you shut the fuck up? How about that?
Man, Paulie, it sounds like you're pretty bad at Celeste.
But for me, it's like, oh yeah, level 4 B-side was like fucking agony, like the hardest level of the game. And then by like levels 8 and 7 is like, oh yeah, I had like 800 deaths on the B-sides there.
God, I didn't even go for the B-sides.
Huh?
Did you finish all the B-sides?
I finished all the B-sides as of earlier today.
Cool.
I got one cassette, and then I said, I'm not getting any more. Fuck it. I'm not going out of my way to find them. Because the B-sides are like the normal stages, but fucking harder. And it's like, oh, the gimmicks get way harder. I don't like the gimmicks.
Yeah. Like, it pushes all those gimmicks to the limit. Like, they teach you, some of them teach you things that you didn't know were in the game, like the level 2, the kind of the jelly area. If you jump when you're leaving one, you'll keep your momentum. So like it starts to play with that and like doing extra things. Like at the very end of the summit on B side, they teach you a new move that you had the entire game and you didn't know, which is kind of crazy.
What?
God.
Yeah.
What is it?
If you do a vertical,
Don't tell me.
oh, okay. Yeah.
We'll find out.
I don't think it's particularly useful.
Uh-huh.
Although I did see the TAS using it, like when they were zipping around in stage 1.
Gotcha.
Like
Cool.
it's definitely there. Like the TAS is nuts because they're able to do things like dash every frame.
Yeah.
So like they do things you couldn't really do, but it's like it's nice seeing that technically like there are crazy momentum tricks you can do in this. It's not just kind of one speed fits all basically. So basically there's 7 levels in the game, and then there's kind of an 8th bonus level which doesn't have as much story. Like the game has a conclusive end if you just play the first 7 levels, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then the 8th is kind of like, hey, you want to do a little more? No? Okay, that's... So basically I did the first 7 levels and their B-sides, and then took a break before doing the 8th level, because I was also playing a lot of Yakuza.
Yeah.
But then
So you finished this and Yakuza today?
Yeah, so like...
Excellent.
Here's a really nice thing. So in Super Meat Boy, like every level is its own... Like every screen basically is its own thing on the map, and it saves. This game, each level only has like 3 or 4 checkpoints.
Yep.
But,
Tasty.
but you can save and quit in the middle. So you can close the game, and if you don't go back to the map screen, it'll just pop you back where you were.
Oh, yeah.
So for Stage 8's B-side, you know, I let that go for like a week and a half. So I was like, I'll just get a couple screens in, save and quit, come back. So when I came back today after being Yakuza, I was like halfway through it already, which was nice. I think I was like right at the last checkpoint, and then it kind of went longer than I thought it was going to from there.
Nice.
Excellent.
But I mean, go ahead.
I liked the story in this game.
What?
It just worked for me. Like, that's kind of all I can honestly say, because I don't have the experience with what it's trying to say and talking about as much as you do. But kind of on a cursory glance, like a surface level, I thought it worked extremely well as being a story about, you know, self-doubt and anxiety.
It doesn't say self-doubt in the script, Rat.
But that's, I mean, we're not going to argue that that's literally what it's about. Like, that the other character represents anxiety. And like,
yeah, it's very clear. Also,
Yeah.
it's pretty good take on the Uzume story, if I say so myself.
So that's the other thing, is that the story is very similar to Mega Dimension Neptunia's.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
it's super similar.
Yeah.
Really kind of a rip-off.
I mean, it's not like they're like, oh, this is the only time like a dark version of a character has represented that character's inner doubt or whatever, or their anger, you know?
Yeah.
But I think they are both good takes on it that can stand together.
You get the hug in Celeste.
And that's the thing.
You don't
The
get
one
it in
thing-
Mega Up. You don't get it
The
in
one
Mega Up.
thing they left out of Meganep, they do in this game, and it's very good.
Even I'll admit that's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what happens in Megan Up because I got the bad ending.
Yeah, the one person in the fucking world who's ever seen the bad ending.
I mean, I got the bad ending, and
This
then I did
dingus
save over it.
This dingus got the bad ending and then saved.
Oh.
So in order for me to like try to prove to him that the game wasn't trash, I had to find like videos on YouTube that didn't have commentary over them. It's like, no, watch the normal and true ending, please. They're very good.
So I just thought like everything in Celeste worked for me.
That's
like
fine.
as a complete package.
I'm not gonna begrudge it.
I'm not really defending it against you. Many people like this game, Polly.
Yeah.
In fact, they might say it's the best indie game released this year so far.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought this game was very special to me personally as well.
Well, there you go.
That's
Like,
really nice.
I reached the summit and I cried a bunch.
John, how much did you cry in Trails?
A good amount. So there
good
were like
amount?
3 or 4. There were like 3 or 4 good weep sessions there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say hours for a second.
3 or 4 hours straight.
Yeah,
And we
it's
know,
interesting.
and we know how much it made After5 cry because there's video evidence.
Oh man, that must be weird.
Oh, God.
This is also interesting to me because I did finish Luca after the last Sockscast where I got the true end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I had some kind of issues with there were parts of it that I felt would have been earned a lot better if they had just had more straightforward character build up and teaching you about who the people were and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
More, trail stuff basically. So playing Trails right after was quite nice.
That's good.
But the one part of it that did really land for me was the mental illness theming, which it hammers home in a really interesting, kind of straightforward way at the very end, but without being like quite as direct as this sounds like it's being. And that was the part in the Luca True End that made me completely saw was when I realized like, oh, okay, this is what this has kind of been about. So probably interesting contrast there. I'm interested in playing Celeste.
I think one thing that's kind of weird in Celeste is that you're not quite sure how old the main character is.
Yeah, because it looks like a child.
Because she looks super young, and then there's one line during kind of a heart-to-heart scene where she goes, character asks her, like, how do you deal with it? And she goes, I drink a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird. It's like, oh, what? So obviously, like, I don't think she's actually a kid. She's probably, like, between 20 and 30.
I would say she's college age.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess so. But that's kind of weird. The other thing is that I'm not entirely sure this game is really specifically about mental illness. It seems more of kind of just a general, like, anxiety and dealing with stresses and overcoming challenges.
Either way, I still think it does it in a shitty way, but that's just my opinion.
I think the one part that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way is the end of stage 3. I haven't seen anyone mention that, though, because there's this one guy who's really pestering you.
Yeah.
And they kind of just write him off like, oh, he's a lost cause. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a shitty line.
Yeah, that's real shitty.
Oof.
I'm like, they try to kind of make good by the end with that character, but I don't know.
But it kind of like, they kind of like it, the way he's written off.
Yeah, I was like, oh, at the end of stage 3 specifically, like, oh, that didn't end the way I thought it was going to. I thought she was going to accept him, but nope.
Nope, that one, you're just gonna be a bitch about it, okay.
I mean, again, that's sometimes a true thing in life, though, where you just have to give up on people.
Oh, yeah.
But...
yeah,
just
that's
like,
true.
I gave up on John having good taste in video games.
You just talked about Trails in the Sky for like
Shut
3
up,
hours.
So is that Celeste?
That's Celeste. It's very good.
Do you have anything else?
The next week I listened to the soundtrack and cried twice. One part because it was an extremely emotional moment in the story that it reminded me of, and one part because it was an extremely hard B-side that probably made me cry in a different way.
Oh my.
Because it's like the B-sides have kind of remix of the songs that are very good, and they're very chill, which is good because you're going to be getting very mad at those levels.
Yeah.
So like the stage 4 B-side is like it's like trance relaxation music, but that level's so fucking hard. It's very dissonant in my head now.
Almost seems very psychologically planned in some way.
Oh yeah, but it's like it keeps you calm while you're pushing against these levels. Like level 4 is so infuriating because the wind is pushing against you the whole time in the B-side.
It's kind of like how Cotton Alley and Super Meat Boy has this super high upbeat music, but it's like the hardest fucking stages in the game.
Yeah, of course.
I guess I can hit P5 and then we get out of here. Is that how you want to roll?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So yeah,
that way.
Made a deal with a friend a while back, and like Persona 5 is his favorite game ever. It's just like, I played it and I love it. I don't care if it only came out a year ago. It's my favorite game ever. I'm like, okay, that's good. And he's like, I'm sad I can't talk about it with you because you don't like Atlas no more. I was like, well, okay, make a deal. If you play through these games that I really, really love and have the same kind of connection with, then I'll play through Persona 5. And it was just like, well,
It'll also take 100 hours.
And it will also take 100 hours, yes. So he agreed to do so. He's currently nearing the end of FC now. And I am about 40 plus hours into Persona 5. And Persona 5, super solid so far. Gotta say, I kind of had to get myself into the mindset for it, though. Like, I kind of had to be, because, like, I'm kind of just, like, before going into this, I'm just, like, I'm so over that day-to-day school routine thing that this series has done. Like, it's just, like, okay, it was good. Like, I love Persona 3. It was an innovator. I love its weird, like, first time out jankiness. I still think that, like, you know, it's still a solid story, and there are many things to it with which I emotionally connect. Persona 4.
And it's still better than 5. Sorry.
Boom. Persona 4, a game that is weird because I initially loved this game. I'm not so hot on it anymore.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's a perfectly fine game. It's just like nothing in it resonates with me at all.
Yikes.
Like the more I think about Persona 4's story, its characters, what it's even trying to say, it's just like none of it really lands anymore for me, or maybe it never did. Like, it's a solid game, and I know why, like, and I get why it's as popular as it is, because it feels like it was definitely made for more mass appeal. But I still think that Persona 3 is the better of the two, just because I think that it handles everything that it sets out to do way better, even if it may not be like have the quality of life improvements that Persona 4 and Persona 3 Portable do, and things like that. Like, yo, give me that give me that partner AI that'll cast Marin Karin after a mind charge.
Yay!
That's always good. Always down for that. Mind charge, Tintarafu. Yes. So Persona, take that. So Persona 5 is the ultra stylish RPG, no longer part of the Shin Megami Tensei series, but it's got all the Shin Megami Tensei demons. Weird.
It's the expanded cinematic universe.
There you go. It's expanded. It's very cinematic. Man, this game's gorgeous. Just like everything about this game just bleeds style in a way that you kind of can't deny when you see it in action. Like,
oh yeah.
I've never seen menus that were like one of the literal highlights of a game before. And just like this, like real fucking stylish things they'll do, like at the end of the battle, you'll get like a freeze frame and a close up telling you how much experience and money you got. And then they'll like toss the UI out and your character will just kind of like walk off with the camera following him, and it'll seamlessly go back into the environment you were in. Like, that's some
real classy.
Like,
and then you kind of wet your pants a little, right?
You do. The first time you see that happen, the first time you see that fucking walk off, and then it just like smoothly transitions back to just like, oh, this is where the camera was when you got into the fight. Like, what the fuck? How did you do that? Why doesn't every RPG do that? So anyway, it's just kind of like you by circumstances, blah blah blah, you become a phantom thief and you steal people's hearts. Basically, that's kind of a metaphorical thing in that, like, people's evil, distorted, twisted desires kind of end up creating a palace of sorts in a place that is kind of tied to them in some way. Like, the first instance would be like a school sees this place as his kingdom, so in his distorted palace reality, he's like a king, and the school is...
He is a scumbag.
Adults are scumbags.
I think he's a scumbag in both reality and in the palace.
Oh yeah, in the palace and in reality, he's a pretty big scumbag. But it's basically adults are scumbags, the video game. Basically, is what I've been doing. What I've noticed so far. But you go in and then you defeat that person, and it's, you know, and then you quote unquote steal their heart. They have a change of heart in the real world, and they likely end up, you know, confessing to crimes and get arrested and shit like that. And like the whole point of the game kind of like hinges on like this Phantom Thieves thing and like them starting to kind of like become a popular thing with the advent of the internet. There's like a fan site dedicated to it. You get like cute little real-time updates about how popular you are or things being asked online about you, and they handle all of that stuff, and like they don't go super in-depth into it, which makes it not annoying. They handle it in a way that's just like, we've explained it enough and we don't have to go super crazy with it. Let's see. Battle system is pretty much similar to 3 and 4, only just with a lot of quality of life improvements. Like everything.
Plus, you get gun.
I don't even use them. Does anybody play Persona 5 use guns? Like, I've not upgraded my guns, and I'm in, like, the middle of August.
I use the guns, but I don't use them as a source of damage.
Yeah.
I just use them as a source of weakness.
Yeah, I use them for the knockdown. Like, if an enemy is weak to knockdown for gun, I'll just pop off as many shots as I need to. And then I'll baton pass to somebody that's got another weakness.
Weak to gun.
Weak to... Literally.
I'm weak. You know, I think I'm
gun.
weak against gun.
I think
that's my weakness.
Yeah, we'd probably be weak to guns, I imagine. Most of us
I'm weak
are.
against gun and fire. People use Augie on me or gun. I'm probably going to be in a rough place.
Yeah, I'm more of like a, cast Bufu on me and shoot me with a gun. I'm probably a goner.
I'm pretty weak against guns and SAO fans.
I'm pretty weak against instant death magic. If anyone used that on me, I'd probably not fare well. I actually don't know if I'm weak against instant death magic.
I just take the coin flip. I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine.
Fine. 50-50.
I'd rather probably deal with that. If someone told me they would cast an instant death spell on me or they would set me on fire, I'd probably go with the instant death spell.
Yeah, you've got a chance there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah. Just done. But, Persona 5 has been pretty good to me so far. Like, I really like the way that they kind of frame the story in that, like, you start off kind of, like, you got this cold open of just, like, you're infiltrating a casino, and it's, like, everybody, like, the people that are talking to you are all, like, behind shadows, so you can't tell, but it's obviously the party members that you're going to be gathering over the course of the game talking to you. But they do a good job of obscuring all that so that you don't, like, have all of it dumped in your lap at once, and then you end up kind of fucking up. And it's just like, uh-oh, and then you get hauled in to somewhere, and you get the shit beat out of you, and then you've got a prosecutor asking you questions, and then the prosecutor talking to you about what has happened is sort of the framing device for how the story's told, because then it's just like, okay, this happened in such and such month, but now we're going to rewind all the way back to April to when you first got here to how all of this got started. And like, and I'm kind of getting to the point to where I'm catching up to that moment, and like shit's about to fucking pop off, and it's very exciting. Except when like the game decides to blow my party up when I've been exploring for 35 minutes. Yo, man, did you know if the enemies cast Megiddo on you for 3 turns in a row, your party's probably not gonna make it?
No, I never considered that one.
That's what happened to me. It was real fun. That's Shin Megami Tensei for ya.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what was it? E3 got double Megidolid or something.
Oh God, yeah.
Times.
Good stuff.
Crits too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Man, that was rough. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I think that the story is very intriguing. I think that it's the quickest they've gotten you into a Persona story out of 3, 4, and 5. Like,
oh yeah.
Within like the first 2 hours, you are already kind of like getting into the first palace. So, whereas like Persona 4 was literally like 4.5 hours. And Persona 3's
just like you and Yusuke, like
yeah,
buddy time,
man. And let's not like I think the characters in this game are genuinely pretty good so far. And the social links have been very rewarding. I'm genuinely interested in everybody that I've got a social link with. Ryuji is better than Yosuke or Junpei ever would hope to be. Like he's like they've not had a really good best bro kind of character, right? Until Ryuji, who's like genuinely like just a solid stand-up guy who's gone through his own shit, and you learn about that through the course of both the game and his social link, and I'm really enjoying his character a lot. The back alley doctor has a really interesting story going on, and there's just like I feel like there's a level of I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't compare it to Trails because I still think that Persona still kind of leans more on the side of kind of having that big, loud anime type experience. But I do feel that there's like a lot more like genuineness in these characters than maybe most of the social links would have had in the previous two games. Because like these people are like, you like it's real doubts that they're dealing with, or just things that they're trying to fix about themselves, and like in some of the cases, like in Persona 3 and 4, like you are the person that has all the fucking answers. They come to you and their life gets fixed, whereas I think that they're working for it a little harder in this one. Like, I feel that the social links aren't just kind of rushing you to the, oh, you're right, here, let me fuck you, kind of moment that you get, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And,
I think...
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just kind of like chime in. I do think part of the reason why the social links are stronger, I think in general it is more about like more storytelling as opposed to just like conversing.
Yeah.
A lot of the social links, I think, even in 3, are kind of just like, let's have this like interesting conversation. But like at the end of the conversation, just like it's kind of like a thing in and of itself. Where I feel like P5 kind of does compound a little bit more, I guess, especially your own active party members.
Yes.
Kind of compounds more and more, as opposed to just like, I did this thing, I'm proud of myself, and like that's it. Like, and I think just a thing in general, I think the number one appeal for me with P5 is just how they handle using masks as a concept in general. Like, because they use masks to not only hide identity, but just kind of like just a general like statement that like, people, in public when they deal with other people are generally, wearing a mask, figuratively speaking, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't show your full colors, you don't tell everyone about yourself, and kind of have like this like pseudo other self that you use to kind of like get situated and kind of like, test the waters.
Yeah.
And that to me, I feel like is pretty much exactly like what P5 is functioning on. Like, not only the Phantom Thieves just hiding, their genuine beliefs, their genuine personality, and like when they obtain their personas and they obtain that mask, it's like they're admitting for the first time that they have been like wearing this mask against society, and they want to like overcome this thing, right? And like it kind of like actually ties the personas into the characters a lot more than the previous games.
Mm-hmm.
I think P4 especially had like the weakest handling of like personas versus like in conjunction with characters, because like quite frankly, I don't think kicking a tarot card to summon a persona like actually means anything.
No.
It was just like, because we need personas in a game called Persona, we're gonna have personas. Yeah. And like tarot cards are kind of relevant, so we'll just do it. And like that part of it for me is like one of the weakest aspects of P4, where like
go ahead.
Like one of the main functions is just so like thrown to the side. I'm just like, it doesn't mean anything in this game.
Like the evokers in Persona 3.
I felt something when the characters like got their personas after talking to their shadows and welcoming them into their hearts. Like I felt something for almost all of those. I don't know if I agree there. I think because the personas flash up after the big cathartic conversation and climax fight. And, all right. Yeah,
I think the moments are fine. I'm mostly focusing on like the actual summoning of the persona
the tarot
at this
card.
point.
Yeah, like the tarot card kind of is inconsequential, whereas the evoker in Persona 3 was like your willingness to face death.
Yeah, which is a huge theme throughout the entire game.
Death is.
I forgot that in Persona 5 they tear off their masks when they summon the personas.
Yeah.
Now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like I think it's more like it ties gameplay into
the
like
narrative.
Character and story in just a really like non-intrusive and like ingenious way. Just on top of that, like, the whole fan site thing, and just like another level of masking your presence is, people saying whatever the hell they want on fan site about the Phantom Thieves, right? Like that's like the general populace just masking who they actually are in order to just say random bullshit on the internet, which is
that's a
quite
very
frankly exactly
fucking
how the world works.
Yeah, it's a little too true to life.
Yeah, like there's a whole lot of like actual like connectivity, which to a degree P5 does sort of have that. I also don't put it on like the level of Trails, but it considering P5 or excuse me, Trails has like its own like politics and like systems that are relatable in real life, which is what makes part of it like so grounded. P5 has those masks and just general human behavior, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like it definitely capitalizes on like these are human behaviors that like we have seen either through like mass media, like literally the first dungeon, right? An abusive coach, right?
Yeah,
that's very
been,
real.
like all over media for like decades. So
yep. Yeah, like that like all of that shit is real good. Like I'm really enjoying the character stuff, and I'm really enjoying what I like about this game is that all of the main story dungeons are actually handcrafted, and these really big to-dos that like are going to require like multiple like days of coming back to like in game. Because like they're so intricate and well thought out, and like whereas like Persona 3 had Tartarus, which it made sense for what it was. It was a Shin Megami Tensei game. It's a dungeon crawler. This is what you do. Persona 4, like Persona 5 does what Persona 4 wanted to do with dungeons, I feel like. Whereas Persona 4's dungeons are kind of just like hallways with wallpaper, but they're supposed to represent, but they're like done up to represent like what that character's personality is or a thing that they're going through. Whereas these are like big, like infiltrating a museum, like a casino, the castle. Like they're all very intricately put together, and like I've not had a bad time in any palace so far, and I always find myself genuinely like thinking like that's a real clever use of the environment, and like just like the stealth aspect of it, and how like I think they kind of got the idea that most people played these games by running up to catch an enemy's attention and then running back so that they stop chasing you, and then like they'll eventually turn around and then you get the ambush. Whereas this game, it's literally just like, okay, like press X to hide behind a thing. When the enemy gets close enough, press X to jump out and get your ambush. It's just like, okay, that's a lot more streamlined and easier to deal with.
Yeah, honestly, I never get tired of ambushing enemies in Persona 5.
Yeah,
like,
it feels
just
so
ripping
good.
off the mask is just like freaking get owned. Like
Yeah.
the battle hasn't even started.
Yeah, like and again, super stylish. You just like do this flip, pull the guy's mask off as you're like crossing over him, and then he melts into a puddle, and then out comes the demons that you're fighting. Just super solid transition. But yeah, I'm enjoying the palaces a lot. There's also a random dungeon element as well, if you like that. There's Mementos, which opens up a couple months in, where like you get requests that come in, and some of them are tied to the main story, some aren't, but there's some rewards down there, some extra bosses. You can get some more demons if you need them, things like that.
But is Mementos the fresh maker?
Yes, Mementos is the fresh maker.
So, true fact about Persona 5, right? Hottest main character of the new games, right? Of the Persona games.
Who is?
Right?
What?
Hottest main character. The hottest player avatar character.
Oh,
right?
yeah, he's solid. 8 out of 10,
cool.
easily.
He's pretty OG, yeah.
Yeah.
The opening scene when he gets his persona, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think also just because the style bleeds off on him too, like because he's kind of the forefront of some of like the stylish stuff too.
Yeah.
So like he's definitely got like a lot of, I guess for lack of a better term, swag.
Yeah, he's got swag falling out of his ass.
Yeah, he's like
again kind of like
he's balling, big balling.
What they thought the P4 character was.
Yeah, the P4 character.
Where he's like, oh, I'm the hottest shit in town.
The P4 character looks like a fucking dingus to me, and he always has. Like, give me emo Persona 3 boy any day. Good lord.
Go.
Oh, yeah.
This is...
Yeah.
Anna really liked this one and was a bit insistent about me playing it when I was more interested in some other stuff. So I've got some kind of built up resentments that I need to give time to.
Yeah.
I want to play 3 before I play 5, I think.
I thought you had played 3.
3 seems... I've started it like 3 times, but it seems really up my alley. I want to do I want to give it my whole time. Plus, Anna hated that one, so that makes me feel better.
Oh, well, there you go. There's where you start. You do things out of spite. You're good at it, so that's what I do.
Yeah. Because I very much buy into knowing. I know a lot about Persona 3. I know the ending. I know I like what it's doing.
They go about it in a good way, though. They go about it very well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Play the PS2 version.
Oh, definitely.
Play fast.
Oh, Poppy. Poppy.
And make
but
sure
don't play the answer.
I got love for the answer, but it's more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember having.
Yeah, that was. I like the answer story, but I will never tell someone they need to play it.
Seems pretty rough.
Yeah. I remember when I fired up the answer.
Oh wow!
I remember
when I
play that.
I remember when I made you rage quit it. All I had to do was send him one message, and he was just like, "Nope." He noped the fuck right out.
Yep.
Told him he didn't have access to the compendium, so you can't get your personas back once you fuse them.
Ooh.
He wasn't happy about that.
I
Literally quit.
to not stand it in general when games remove mechanics.
Yeah.
Like it's just a thing of mine. When you have
Trails at Sea has a very, very good beat with that in around
Yeah.
near the end of the game
Yeah.
when they remove an option in a perfect way.
but I mean at that point that's something that it's only I guess momentary. I guess
Yeah,
is
it's
the word for it.
temporary. It's temporary,
and it's meaningful.
Yeah.
It's meaningful. The answer is just literally like, yeah, we don't feel like it. I don't know. Maybe there was an answer because oh my god, that joke.
That's sort of like with the permadeath and Fire Emblem, where I'm playing those games like, oh, I should play it the pure way with the permadeath, but then there's nothing really like interesting about how the games handle the permadeath, and it's not really like thematic or anything. It's just makes it harder. It just makes it harder in a not really interesting way.
We're gonna have to do a different Sockscast if we want to go down the Fire Emblem road. I have so much to say about that.
I got the most fight for Fire Emblem, so
I am not winding this boy up about Fire Emblem. I am not winding this boy up about Tales of.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been intentionally ignoring that title drop all night.
So yeah, like I'm gonna continue playing Persona 5. Hopefully by the next time we do a Sockscast, I'll have completed it. I'm in August now, so I'm getting through it at a pretty good clip. So, and this game is moving like at a pretty decent pace. There's definitely you're starting to see some slowdown, but I think that like once the bigger things start happening, like I think the game's gonna fucking jump off. And I'm
Maybe
ready
just
for that.
catch up to where we're at in September, and then you can just play it one day at a time.
There you go.
Just like
I should totally do that.
Yeah.
There you go. So what's that one Matt Bro game where you literally can only make one move a day?
Vesper 5.
Yeah.
Vesper 5 Persona.
Imagine if real life actually did move like Persona, where like you get off school and like you go like get a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and all of a sudden the day is over.
You know what? Some days, yeah.
Some days it kind of is just like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Where the fuck did my day go?
I'm so excited to play Trails at the end of this day. All right, all I have to do is do some grocery shopping and walk the dog and go to work, and oh, it's over. All right.
Well, fuck.
Guess I can get in a half hour.
And that's why I became an insomniac in my college years.
I became an insomniac because we had lectures at 4 a.m.
Yeah, oh god.
It was
lectures
fun.
At 4 a.m. That's a great idea.
There's not a lot you can learn with bloodshot eyes, let me tell you.
I feel like information retention is at peak at 4 a.m.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's Persona 5, and I guess with that, we're going to start winding things down. Rhett, are you still among the living?
Barely.
Okay. We'll get you out of here. Don't worry. We're winding down now. All right. So first of all, After5, I want to thank you for being a good sport coming on, and I hope you had a good time.
I love you all.
And tell all of our fine listeners where they can find you on the old interbutts.
The who what?
This boy doesn't know how to plug, does he?
What's your
Sorry, I was
Twitch?
just trying to
What's
kill the
your
momentum.
Twitch?
My Twitch is. Do I add the HTTPS too?
Yes, please.
HTTPS : Are those backslashes or regular slashes?
Backslash.
Or-
Backslash.
Brett's really happy.
Double
we're dragging
back.
this part of that.
www.twitch.tv/After5, as in the number 5, and not the Roman numeral 5, like the V, but like the 5. You know, above the T key, there's a 5. That.
AFTER and then the numeral
5.
5.
5. Yeah, that. I think that's where.
What about Twitter? Where can we find you on Twitter?
At Aculex, AKULEX.
All right. John Thayer, where can we find you?
Farawaytimes.itch.io.
And Rhett.
I had the uncontrollable urge to shout Eric's joystick over After5 a second ago, but I didn't.
Inside
Yeah,
jokes.
You can find me in bed because I'm going to bed.
Yeah. All right. And I'm Paul. You can find him
Like
at
Poly Dungeon.
my dumb website. Play Poly Dungeon. And remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. All right, we're done. Rhett, you can go to sleep. I'm just going to thank everybody. I'm going to thank everybody on stream for stopping by and all that fun shit. So, thanks everybody that stopped by, dropped in bits, dropped a sub, all that fun stuff. I'm glad y'all can make it out. It's always been a pleasure. Y'all take care of yourselves and hope you have a nice week. We up out.